Chapter 618. Yushu's brother, right. I want to tell you a very unfortunate piece of news. I think I've reached the barrier to the late phase of the golden class, and I'm looking for a chance to break through. Ling Shan said faintly. If you want to chase me, then work hard. Of course, you can give up, because I don't have much feelings for you. Yu Tian almost threw the phone away when he heard Ling Shan's words. Late phase of the golden class? Was Ling Shan that strong? How did House Song have a genius like her? Yu Tian took in a breath of cold air. If Ling Shan could reach golden class late phase at such a young age, then House Song's position would definitely skyrocket, and Ling Shan's marriage would be even more important. Who knew what kind of marriage old Song would arrange for Ling Shan to get married then? Perhaps, if they knew that Ling Shan had broken through to the late phase of the golden class, then House, you would come to see her. All right, I'll work hard. Yu Tian was in despair this time. The gap wasn't small at all, and there was no point in being angry. I'm busy, bye. Ling Shan didn't say much and hung up. She didn't have any feelings for Yu Tian, so she purposely said that she was going to break through to the late phase of the golden class. In reality, she had just reached the middle phase peak, and there was still some distance to the late phase. Ling Shan said that because she wanted Yu Tian to give up. She didn't like Yu Tian's personality. She was a strong person herself, but she liked men who were stronger. It was only with men like this that she was willing to let him come to her. Otherwise, she wouldn't feel comfortable. After failing to get a date with Ling Shan, Yu Tian thought about his old playmates, Jiang Wen and Su Taizao. The fourth young master didn't come to Songshan often, so he didn't get to see them often. Jiang Wen and Taizao had called earlier, wanting to hold a banquet to welcome him, but Yu Tian didn't agree right away. He asked Ling Shan if she was free first. The four young masters of Songshan were nothing more than a joke to Yu Tian now. They were just a bunch of kids, relying on their family's power to think they were invincible. There was nothing to be proud of. Since he'd chosen the other path, the distance between him and Jiang Wen, Taizao, and the others would only grow bigger and bigger. Although they used to be playmates, they had become estranged from each other. There was no longer the feeling of drinking and fooling around together. The Yu Tian now was much more mature than before, and this was also because of Ling Shan's rejection that he had no choice but to walk this path. Thinking about it back then was indeed very difficult, but now that he had walked over, he realized that his choice was correct. Only by doing what he was doing could he be considered a man of indomitable spirit. Although the four young masters of Mount Songshan had been awe-inspiring, what use was that? Those empty reputations didn't belong to him. Even if they did, they would be cursed. It seemed like the gap between him and Ling Shan was getting bigger and bigger. Yu Tian smiled bitterly. He understood that with Ling Shan's personality, normal men wouldn't be able to tame her. They weren't her match in terms of martial arts. Even if she forced herself to be with him due to her family's pressure, Yu Tian believed that he wouldn't be able to suppress Ling Shan in the future. Just like Ling Shan said, he wouldn't even be able to do it. His phone rang and Yu Tian looked at it. It was Jiang Wen. He'd already rejected the invitation yesterday, but Jiang Wen was still so persistent. Of course, Yu Tian knew exactly what Jiang Wen was thinking. He was inviting him to a banquet, and he had to bring his sister Yushu. If his sister went, Meng Yao would naturally go as well. As Meng Yao's pursuer, Jiang Wen would naturally use this opportunity to get close to Meng Yao. He was just a stepping stone. Yu Tian knew very well that his life was getting further and further away from Jiang Wen. They weren't on the same path at all, and their relationship wasn't that good at all. Hello, second brother. Yu Tian picked up the phone, but he still called Jiang Wen second brother. He was the second of the four young masters of Mount Songshan. Tian bro, how is it? Have you arranged everything? Do you have time tomorrow night? Do me the honor of meeting us brothers at Starlight Resplendent? Jiang Wen asked with a smile. Yu Tian's reason yesterday was that he didn't know the schedule yet, and he didn't know if he had time. Haha, all right, tomorrow night it is then. I'll contact you then. Yu Tian accepted Jiang Wen's invitation because he couldn't get a date with Ling Shan. All right, see you then. Jiang Wen was overjoyed. As long as he invited Yu Tian, Yushu wouldn't come. As long as Yushu came, Meng Yao would definitely come. He never had a chance to get close to Meng Yao, and Meng Yao didn't want to give him one either. Now he could officially invite Meng Yao and Yushu. How is it in Bro? Is it done in Bro? Taizao asked anxiously. It's done. We'll go visit Meng Yao and Yushu now and ask them to come to our banquet tomorrow night. Jiang Wen nodded with a smile. And Bro, this is a good opportunity. I think you should use this chance to confess to Meng Yao. Taizao said, It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. That's true. Do you have any good ideas? It wouldn't be good for me to confess to her, would it? Jiang Wen frowned. But you're right. Meng Yao's attitude towards me is a little hard to understand. She's not as friendly as she was the first time we met at the theme park. Is she blaming me for not pursuing her well enough? Maybe I should prepare some flowers for her tomorrow? That's possible. Taizao said. But forget about flowers. Girls all care about their face. You can't just go after her without doing anything, can you? But you can't be too intense and put her on the spot. It's like in many situations, girls like you pursuing them, but they don't want you to force them too much. She enjoys the process of you pursuing her, and she doesn't want to say yes right away. That's why kneeling down and begging is basically forcing people to make a decision. As long as the girl doesn't really like him, she'll reject him for sure. Even if she likes him a little, she can't just say yes right away. Chapter 619. Jiang Wen's visit. And so Jiang Wen was thinking that if he were to confess with flowers, Meng Yao might really reject him outright. Their relationship would be strained like that, and it wouldn't look good if he tried to pursue her in the future. Then what do you think I should do? And Bro, why don't you say something drunk? An idea came to Taizao. You drink some wine and confess your feelings to Meng Yao. If Meng Yao likes you, she'll be very shy and even want to make sure that you're just talking nonsense after drinking, or that you really mean it. Of course, if Meng Yao doesn't want you to confess, you can just say that you said something drunk. She won't hold it against you, right? It won't be so awkward when they meet again. That's a good idea, Taizao. But you need to help me out tomorrow. Jiang Wen nodded. Shall we go to Meng Yao's house now? Yes, and Bro, don't worry. I'll create a suitable opportunity for you tomorrow. Just confess your feelings then. Taizao patted his chest as he promised. Lin Yi wasn't expecting Jiang Wen and Taizao to come at this time. Lin Yi frowned as he looked at the two. And Bro, what brings you here at this time? Shu's not feeling well. She's resting upstairs. Lin Yi didn't know if Jiang Wen was here for Meng Yao or for him, so he decided to ask. Haha, we're here for Shu. Since she's sick, then we have to pay her a visit. Jiang Wen smiled. Taizao, go buy some fruits. Okay, and Bro. Taizao picked up the car keys and left, leaving Jiang Wen standing in front of the villa. Wait a minute. I'll go ask Yao Yao and Shu. Lin Yi was just pretending to be polite to Jiang Wen, since he wanted to use him to deal with Pin Liang. He didn't care too much about him and just left him at the door. Meng Yao was already in the living room when Lin Yi got back to the villa, evidently having heard the doorbell as well. Lin Yi, who's here? Is it Faubert? No, it's Jiang Wen and Taizao. I don't know what they're up to. Lin Yi pointed at the door behind him. Brother Jiang Wen? Why is he here again? Meng Yao's tone was courteous, but it was clear that she didn't want Jiang Wen to be a guest at her house. How would I know? But they said they were looking for Shu. Lin Yi shrugged. Yao Yao, let them in. My brother will be back tomorrow. They're probably here because of this, right? Yushu came downstairs as well. She was behind Meng Yao, standing by the stairs. I thought it was Faubert bringing food. I'm so hungry. I want to eat to my heart's content. Hungry? You're hungry again? You want to eat to your heart's content again? Lin Yi was speechless. She just threw up, and now she was hungry again? Eat to her heart's content again? He didn't know what this Yushu was made of. Did she forget the pain after the wound healed? Yeah, my stomach's so empty I'm growling. Yushu rubbed her stomach as she complained. I puked out too much earlier. It'd be better if I didn't puke out so much. Why don't you eat what you threw up? Meng Yao glared at Yushu, finding the topic disgusting. Oh, that's enough for the two of us. Yushu nodded. Meng Yao was about to throw up. She was quite hungry, but now she had no appetite at all. Lin Yi went to open the door, and Jiang Wen walked in with a smile on his face. He wasn't overly enthusiastic when he saw Meng Yao, only nodding to her. Yao, I heard that Shu's sick? I'm not sick, Yao just set me up. Yushu was interrupted by Meng Yao. She just has a stomach flu. It's nothing. She'll be fine after throwing up. Meng Yao wouldn't let Yushu talk nonsense. Oh, I see. Jiang Wen could tell from Meng Yao's tone that she didn't want to talk about it anymore. Shu, Tian Bro will be back tomorrow. Tai Zhao and I will hold a feast to welcome him. You should come too. Your brother hasn't seen you for a long time, right? Okay. Yushu agreed without thinking too much. After all, she hadn't seen her brother for a long time. There was no reason not to go. Meng Yao was a little annoyed. Why did Yushu agree, just like that? If she went, how could she not go? Didn't Jiang Wen invite Qin Yutian or him? Only Jiang Wen himself would know the answer. Yao, you're coming too? Jiang Wen smiled. Lin Yi, are you free tomorrow? Meng Yao didn't answer Jiang Wen's question. She turned to Lin Yi and said, You come with us. Okay, Lin Yi replied faintly. Jiang Wen wasn't too happy about Lin Yi going with him. But Meng Yao being able to go was already good enough. He couldn't afford to cause more trouble. If he didn't let Lin Yi go, Meng Yao would be pissed off and refuse to go. That wouldn't be fun. He smiled. Haha, Yao. I was going to invite Lin Yi, bro, even if you didn't ask. We're good friends. Is there anything else? Meng Yao looked at Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen knew that Meng Yao was asking him to leave, but he didn't want to. He still wanted to stay a little longer. Let's wait for Tai Zhao. He went to buy fruits and Shu's sick. As her brother, we can't come empty-handed, can we? Oh, tell him to buy some more then. I'm starving. Yushu ordered after hearing that Tai Zhao was going out to buy food. Okay, I'll call him now. Jiang Wen's eyes brightened. He finally had a reason to stay a little longer. Afraid that Meng Yao would interfere, Jiang Wen quickly took out his phone and dialed Tai Zhao's number. Tai Zhao, Shu's hungry. Go buy some fruits and some dinner too. Go to a few more places and buy a few more dishes. Don't go too little. Jiang Wen's hint was very clear. As long as Tai Zhao wasn't an idiot, he'd know what he meant. He wanted Tai Zhao to stay a little longer and not come back immediately. Chapter 620. Chapter 620. Chu Pingzhan's phone. No rush, no rush. We can't rush even if there's a traffic jam, right? Safety first. Jiang Wen smiled faintly, praising Tai Zhou's teamwork. Meng Yao glared at Yushu, annoyed at her for being a busybody. Couldn't she have asked Lin Yi to cook for her if she wanted to eat? What was she supposed to ask Tai Zhao to buy? Now that this guy was here and not leaving, how annoying was he? Yushu knew that she was in trouble and she pouted. But she had an idea. She looked at the time. Jiang Wen only had 7 minutes left to flirt with Yao. Jiang Wen kept on talking in front of Meng Yao, and Meng Yao kept on talking to him. Lin Yi naturally didn't feel like staying here any longer and went back to his room. Jiang Wen wouldn't be able to do anything in the villa, and Lin Yi didn't have to keep an eye on him. Oh, it's time for the cartoon. Today's Saturday, the theatrical version of Happy Goat and Big Big Wolf. Yushu jumped up from the sofa and turned on the TV, changing the channel with the remote. As expected, the familiar music of Happy Goat and Big Big Wolf came from the TV. Jiang Wen had long since gotten used to Yushu's crazy personality. Yushu was pretty, but who could resist a personality like that? Luckily, the one he liked was Meng Yao. Otherwise, he'd be screwed if he got together with Yushu. Jiang Wen ignored Yushu and kept on talking to Meng Yao. Hey, stop talking, I can't hear you. Yushu waved her hand at Jiang Wen impatiently. Why are you so rude? They're watching TV. Jiang Wen was about to explode. What did his words have to do with Yushu? But he couldn't afford to piss Yushu off, so he didn't dare talk back. First of all, Yushu was from House Qin, a noble house's descendant. Even if he had the backing of the Firewolf Gang, he couldn't represent the Firewolf Gang. He also didn't have the guts to go against the Chen family. Secondly, Yushu was still Meng Yao's best friend, even if the Firewolves were to support him. If he pissed her off, he'd never be able to pursue Meng Yao in the future. Yao Yao, let's talk over there. Jiang Wen held in his breath, still maintaining the smile on his face as he pointed at the restaurant. I want to watch the cartoon too. I haven't seen this episode yet. Meng Yao pointed at the TV. Watch it with us. Wah. Jiang Wen almost jumped up from his seat. How old was he? Watching cartoons. If word of this got out, wouldn't he be laughed at to death? This was the first time Meng Yao invited him to do something with her. Watching TV was like watching a movie, wasn't it? He'd just take it as Meng Yao asking him to watch a movie. With that thought, Jiang Wen calmed down. Sure, let's watch it together then. Watching cartoons, of course, meant that he couldn't talk. Jiang Wen hadn't watched this series before, and he couldn't focus on it at all. He could only sit there and watch. He felt that time was getting too long. Why wasn't this Taizao back yet? He'd be able to get out of this situation if he came back. What a blunder. If he knew that Yushu wanted to watch cartoons, he wouldn't have stayed here. He might as well just leave. Jiang Wen couldn't take it anymore and went outside to call Taizao. Where are you? Why aren't you back yet? Buying food for a year? Ah, and bro, didn't you tell me to go back later? Taizao had parked his car by the roadside, leisurely smoking as he enjoyed the night view. Jiang Wen's shout startled him. All right, hurry up and come back. Hurry up. Jiang Wen said, a little troubled. See, Yao Yao? I'm good, aren't I? Yushu said proudly. Haha, at least you're smart. Otherwise, I'd be annoyed to death by him. Meng Yao felt that her best friend wasn't stupid at all. In fact, she was very smart. It was just that her way of expressing herself was a little different. Taizao came back soon with a bunch of fruits and bento. Yushu invited Jiang Wen to watch TV and eat together, but Jiang Wen shamelessly rejected her. He couldn't take it anymore. What was the point of staying here if he couldn't talk to Meng Yao? Go get Lin Yi and tell him to eat with us. Meng Yao opened the bento Taizao bought and placed it on the coffee table after Jiang Wen and Taizao left. Taizao had bought a total of 5 bento boxes, all of them quite high quality. It shouldn't be cheap, and he and Jiang Wen were included as well. Of course, they wouldn't be able to eat it. Oh, Yushu was salivating as she looked at the bento on the coffee table. She didn't even want to stand up. She wanted to eat it right away. Meng Yao saw that Yushu wasn't reacting and sighed helplessly. She got up and called Lin Yi, knocking on Lin Yi's door twice. Lin Yi, come eat. Meng Yao didn't know why she had to call Lin Yi. Perhaps it was because he cooked for her and Shu every day, and she couldn't just call him when she was eating? That would be too ungrateful. They're gone. Lin Yi was lying on the bed, texting Tang Yin, telling her that he'd contacted Erguden and that the medicine would be here soon. He told her not to worry about Juqing's injuries. Let's go. Taizao bought some bento. Do you want some? Meng Yao pointed at the bento on the coffee table. Yeah, we don't have to prepare dinner tonight anyway. Lin Yi walked out with Meng Yao. Faubert usually wouldn't bring food over on Saturdays, so Lin Yi had to think of ways to solve the problem. When Lin Yi sat on the sofa, Yushu was almost done with the bento box. She didn't look like she was going to stop. Don't eat too much, or you'll die from overeating. Lin Yi reminded. No more. Meng Yao was worried that Yushu would get into trouble again. She put away the 2 bento boxes, afraid that Yushu would eat them too. Oh, okay. Yushu felt wronged, but she didn't dare disobey. She didn't want to overeat again. After dinner, Lin cleaned up the bento boxes and put the remaining 2 in the fridge. He'd heat them up for breakfast tomorrow. After he was done, he got a call from Pengjan. "Uncle Chu." Lin picked up. "What's up?" "Yeah, 2 things." Pengjan said. "Yao Yao isn't with you, is she? Is it convenient to talk?" Chapter 6:21. I have shield Brolin. He glanced at Meng Yao and Yushu, who were watching cartoons in the living room. He lowered his voice and said, "They're watching cartoons in the living room. If there's anything, just tell me, Uncle Chu." "All right, the first thing is about you." Pengjan didn't beat around the bush and said, "Sihua came to me today and asked me about your injury and background. I didn't say anything, but I don't know if he guessed anything from my vague words. I don't think Xiao Qibing will let this go so easily. He's definitely going to do something to you. You have to be prepared." "Ask about me?" Lin smiled. "It's nothing. Just ask then. If they want to do something to me, they can come to me." Lin was a little wary of the people around Xiao Qibing, but he wasn't afraid of them. Although he was injured quite badly from the fight, he had the jade training space. Lin didn't believe that Uncle Zhu had something like that. Even if he used a large amount of treasures, he wouldn't be able to recover without at least 1.5 years, according to what Jiao Lao said. So Lin wasn't afraid of Xiao Qibing's revenge at all. "Send as many masters as you want. I'll run after we're both injured. I'll run back, and when I've recovered the next day, I'll continue to fight with the masters around you. I don't believe that you have an endless supply of masters around you. Let's see if you can still be happy when all your masters are lying on the bed." With the jade space, as long as Lin didn't meet a particularly strong master, Lin would have nothing to fear. No matter what, you still have to be careful. Pengjan knew that Lin had a certain level of confidence after hearing his words. He wasn't as worried as before. "I don't want anything to happen to you." "Don't worry, Uncle Chu. If I can't win, I'll run." Lin didn't think that running away was embarrassing at all. What was there to be embarrassed about? If he couldn't win, then he would be the one with the problem. "Then I'm relieved." Pengjan nodded and continued, "Secondly, I want you to help me find out why Yao Yao went to that empty Shuangyan with Zhong Pingyang. I was in a hurry, so I didn't ask about it. I wanted to ask about it yesterday, but something happened to you yesterday, so I didn't mention those unhappy things again. So I asked you to help me ask about it. I really don't know about this matter." "Lin," he said, "I'll find time to ask about it and then call you?" "There's no rush. There's no need to ask specifically. We'll talk about it when we have the chance." Pengjan didn't want to interfere with his daughter's private life too much. She was a grown-up, after all, and she wasn't that gullible. There had to be a reason why she followed Pinliang up the mountain. "All right, I'll find a chance to ask her." Lin nodded, feeling that it wasn't a good idea to ask Meng Yao about this. Yu Qian didn't give up and called Ling Shan after he got out of the toll booth. But Ling Shan's tone was cold. "Qin Yu Qian, you're back? What's up?" Ling Shan had saved this number in her phone yesterday, but to Yu Qian, it was only a friendship. "Nothing. I just wanted to tell you that I'm back." Yu Qian always felt pressured in front of Ling Shan. Ling Shan's dominance made him uncomfortable, but he couldn't bring himself to resist. "Oh, I understand." Ling Shan said faintly, "Is there anything else? If not, I'm hanging up." "You really don't have time tonight?" Yu Tian asked after some hesitation. "No, I'm busy. Bye." Ling Shan didn't wait for Yu Tian to reply and hung up the phone. Yu Tian laughed at himself and called Jiang Wen. "Tu, where are you?" "Taizao and I are at Starlight Hotel. VIP room number 1 on the 5th floor. Shu and Yao Yao will be here tonight." Jiang Wen said with a smile. "All right, I'll be there in a bit." Yu Tian sighed. Jiang Wen was using him as an excuse to get close to Meng Yao. How could Yu Tian not know about this? But It seemed like his sister didn't have many pursuers. Yu Tian used to be afraid that people would harass his sister and affect her life, but she was 18 now. She was about to go to university. Wasn't it weird that no one was pursuing her? But thinking about his sister's personality, Yu Tian sweated. With that personality of hers, there weren't many men who could get along with her, right? She was either a prank, or she was just an idiot. That Wu Xiaoqian had only been fooled by Yushu's appearance back then. If he'd known Yushu's personality, he wouldn't have dared to make a move so easily. If he brought Yushu home, it would be fine if she liked him. But if she didn't, he would be toyed with to death. After some thought, Chen Yutian called Yushu. Shu, where are you? Do you miss your brother? Yutian sighed. He went to the border for more than a year and never returned to Songshan. He didn't know how his sister was doing. When he was in Songshan, he was his sister's guardian angel. He didn't know if Yushu would rely on him like before. Oh, Yao Yao and I are about to leave. Yushu received a call from her brother. I missed you before, but not anymore. I have Shield Bro. I don't need to miss you anymore. Shield Bro? Yu Tian froze. Who's Shield Bro? Oh, Yao Yao's follower and bodyguard. Yushu hated her brother for going to the special training for a woman. He even went to the border to train. She was still holding a grudge against Yu Tian's attitude. She wouldn't let go of this opportunity to piss him off. What was so good about that fox Lingshan? She made her brother fall head over heels for her, and she still didn't dump him. Yushu felt embarrassed. Look at how powerful Shield Bro was. He had Lingshan in his palm. She wouldn't dare to go west if he told her to go east. So in comparison, Shield Bro was still stronger. Ah, Chen Yutian gritted his teeth in anger. Where did this random follower come from and steal his limelight? His sister had always looked up to him, and whenever she was in trouble, she would think of him first. How did it become Shield Bro? Chapter 6, 22. Between Yao Yao and Tang Yin, who was prettier? In fact, Yushu was proud of Yutian in the past, but ever since Yutian started going after Lingshan, Yushu wasn't too happy about it, especially when Lingshan ignored her brother, saying that she would only accept him if he defeated her. Wasn't she just making things difficult for him? Her brother was an idiot, saying that Yushu was an idiot, and Yushu thought that he was even more of an idiot. Was it worth it for a woman? After a year of special training, 2 years of experience, it seemed like he was still no match for that fox Lingshan. Otherwise, her brother would have gotten her already, and wouldn't be so low profile. It was a dinner party, a formal one at that. Yushu was dressed in a cute Lolita style, while Meng Yao was more on the innocent side. She looked a little older than Yushu, but Meng Yao looked a little older than Yushu. Shu, are you ready? We're leaving. Meng Yao knocked on the door of the dressing room. Oh, wait, I'll be ready soon. It was rare for Yushu to dress up formally, and it was only because her brother was back that she dressed up properly. Although she seemed cold towards her brother's return, she really missed her brother. After all, they hadn't seen each other for more than a year, not even for Chinese New Year. Oh, Meng Yao wasn't in a rush. Since she was attending Jiang Wen's banquet, she didn't have a good sense of time. It didn't matter if it was earlier or later. Lin Yi took Meng Yao's Audi S5 out of the garage and parked it in front of the villa, waiting for Yushu and Meng Yao. His phone rang, and Lin Yi thought that it was Jiang Wen calling to rush him. Jiang Wen didn't dare rush Meng Yao, but he could call Lin Yi to ask about their departure. However, Lin Yi was surprised when he looked at the caller ID. It was Lingshan. Hello? Miss Braindead, what's up? Instinctively, Lin Yi knew that Lingshan wasn't looking for him for anything good, so his tone wasn't polite at all. Lingshan's face froze. It had been a long time since she'd heard the nickname Miss Braindead, and she'd almost forgotten that she was Miss Braindead. However, she wasn't annoyed. She took a deep breath and tried to sound cute. Yeah, Miss Braindead has something to ask of you. Huh, what is it? Lin Yi wanted to laugh every time Lingshan called herself that. Was this considered flirting between lovers? Ever since the kidney trafficking organization's transit point was destroyed, we haven't found any other clues, Ling Shan said helplessly. But the criminal organization hasn't stopped their footsteps. They've shifted their target to the villages near the city. In the past week, there have been 2 cases of kidney removal at Kayazi village in the east and Shinbu village in the west. My boss has given me an order to solve the case in 2 weeks, or I'll be sent home. Oh, I see. Lin, he replied faintly. Hey, you won't let Miss Braindead lose her job, will you? Take pity on her and think of a way to help her get through this? Ling Shan felt like her teeth were going to fall off from the sourness, but she said it so naturally without any hesitation at all. Since when did she feel that it was natural for her to lower her voice in front of Lin Yi? What can I do? Lin Yi heard Ling Shan's pitiful words, but he really couldn't do anything. He couldn't just leave Meng Yao and Yushu to help her solve the case, could he? The miss would be furious again. You won't leave her to die, will you? Ling Shan was really starting to panic. She'd just been scolded by her leader today, and if she couldn't solve the case in 2 weeks, she wouldn't lose her job like she said, but she wouldn't have the face to be the captain anymore. I'll keep an eye out for you. Lin Yi agreed after some hesitation. Ling Shan's attitude made it hard for Lin Yi to reject her, whether it was for Huaijuan's sake or his personal relationship with Ling Shan. Lin Yi couldn't just ignore her. Okay. Call me if you have any news. Miss Braindead's phone is on 24/7. Ling Shan was very happy when she heard Lin Yi's answer. Lin Yi didn't say anything and hung up the phone with a faint smile. Ling Shan, on the other hand, had an indescribable feeling welling up in her heart. Was she still the same person she used to be? Why did she have to lower her voice to Lin Yi? Where was the arrogant and strong Ling Shan from before? If her friends knew that she was flirting with a man and calling herself Miss Braindead, wouldn't they laugh their heads off? No, she couldn't let anyone know about this. The reason why Lin Yi promised Ling Shan to keep an eye out for her was because Lin Yi had found a breakthrough. That was Jiang Wen. He just told Jiang Wen that he was going to take care of Pin Liang, and the next day, Pin Liang's kidney was cut off. It was fine if he was beaten up, but a kidney was cut off. This was a sensitive issue. Although Fabai didn't call the police, Lin Yi knew about it. Even if Pin Liang's kidney wasn't cut off by Jiang Wen, he must have a close relationship with Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen must have been in contact with the kidney trafficking organization. Because of this, Lin Yi agreed to Ling Shan's request. Although Ling Shan made it sound pitiful, Lin Yi didn't like to do things he wasn't confident in. Since he was having dinner with Jiang Wen today, Lin Yi could ask Jiang Wen about his relationship with the kidney trafficking organization. Not long after hanging up, Meng Yao and Yushu came out of the house. When the 2 girls appeared, Lin Yi was stunned. The 2 girls were already very beautiful without dressing up. Today they were going out for dinner and dressed up. Lin Yi couldn't help but be stunned. What are you looking at? Meng Yao saw that Lin Yi was staring at her. Although she scolded Lin Yi, she was secretly happy. He finally knew that there were 2 pretty girls at home. Huh. Lin Yi smiled and retracted his gaze. Yao sis is prettier than Tang Yin, right? Yushu asked with a smile. Chapter 6, 23. A blunder caused by a misunderstanding, however. The Miss and Tang Yin were both very pretty. If one had to say who was prettier, it could only be said that they each had their own merits. The Miss today would naturally be prettier than Tang Yin without makeup. There was no doubt about that. Lin Yi said, "She's prettier than Tang Yin after makeup." Lin Yi's words didn't offend anyone. Although he was praising Meng Yao, he also said that Meng Yao was only better after makeup. Before makeup, they were about the same. However, Miss Chu had automatically ignored the words makeup queen. She felt a little smug as she glanced at Lin Yi. At least you have good taste. Oh, what about me? Yushu asked, using Meng Yao as the vanguard before bringing herself out. You're about the same as Yao Yao. Lin, he didn't know how to answer. Oh, am I really that pretty? That's great. I finally met someone who isn't blind. Oh. Yushu cried out in surprise and glanced at Meng Yao. Shu, why are you looking at me? Are you saying that I'm blind? Meng Yao glared at Yushu. Yeah, who told you to say that I'm not as pretty as you? Yushu said confidently. Stupid girl, when did I say that? Meng Yao glared at Yushu. Then why did you admit it? Yushu retorted. I didn't admit it. You were the one looking at me. Meng Yao was pissed. Yushu had tricked her. Then why are you feeling guilty? Yushu asked. I'm not feeling guilty, although I did say that my body is more balanced than yours. Meng Yao said angrily. Oh, people with small chests always say that they're balanced. Yushu wasn't happy. You stupid girl, I'll tear your mouth off. Meng Yao went to pull Yushu's face. Shield bro, Yao Yao sis is trying to kill me again. Yushu screamed. All right, I'm driving. Lin, he didn't know who to help, so he changed the topic. Right, Yao Yao, why did you go to Mount Shuangyan with Pin Liang? Lin, he remembered the mission Pingzhan had given him on the phone before, and he decided to take this opportunity to ask about it. That big liar Pin Liang lied to me on purpose. Meng Yao felt hurt when she thought about it. Pin Liang didn't just lie to her IQ. He lied to her feelings as well. Pin Liang didn't mean love with Pin Liang, of course, but the longing for her family. Pin Liang had given Meng Yao hope, only to have it destroyed again and again. If Pin Liang hadn't brought it up, Meng Yao would have kept it as an eternal pain deep in her heart, not letting it out easily. But Pin Liang's release of this sadness gave Meng Yao hope. How could she not be depressed? Every time she thought about it, Meng Yao would cry silently. She wasn't crying because she fell for Pin Liang's trick, but because she missed her mother. She really, really wanted it. Everyone else had maternal love, but she didn't. Although she was the daughter of Pingzhan Industries and lived a luxurious life, she would rather not have all of this. She wanted a complete family. A happy home where he could have dinner with his parents every night. Lie to you. Lin, he was driving, so he didn't notice the change in Meng Yao's mood. Yeah. Meng Yao's heart ached again as she thought of her mother. Ah. Yao Yao, don't cry. Okay, you're prettier than me, okay? Yushu held Meng Yao's hand and comforted her. Yushu would argue with Meng Yao about meaningless things sometimes, but she still missed Meng Yao a lot. Her attitude changed immediately when she saw Meng Yao sad. Cry. Lin paused and looked at Meng Yao through the rearview mirror. Her eyes were red as if she was about to cry. Yao Yao, what's wrong? Zhong Pingliang lied to Yao Yao, saying that he saw someone who looked very similar to Yao Yao at Mount Shuangyan. Yushu said for Meng Yao. Zhong Pingliang made it sound so real and tricked Yao Yao. In the end, Yao Yao and I followed Zhong Pingliang up the mountain, and we were locked in the cave. Someone who looked very similar? Lin, he was even more shocked. The miss wasn't that retarded, was she? It was just someone who looked similar, and she was tricked by Pin Liang to see what was going on. Yeah, Yao Yao thought that the person Zhong Pingliang saw was her mother. Yushu nodded and explained. Yushu, on the other hand, was no longer as playful as before. Her mother? Lin, he couldn't understand. Yao Yao's mother, isn't she dead? Your mother is dead. Meng Yao was furious. Not only did Lin not comfort her, but he even cursed her mother to be dead? Ugh. Lin scratched his scalp, wondering if he'd misunderstood something. Could it be that Meng Yao's mother wasn't dead? Then why would Pingzhan say that Meng Yao's mother left them when Meng Yao was very young? Damn. Lin came back to his senses abruptly. He'd misunderstood this leave. Usually, death could also mean leave, and in this kind of tone and situation, leave basically meant that. However, Pingzhan's leave might be the original meaning of leave. That was, for some reason, Meng Yao's mother ran away from home. Lin couldn't help but sweat at the thought. This was a big mistake. He offended the miss for no reason, and it wasn't worth it. However, Lin Yi didn't care about the Mrs. retaliation. Your mother is the dead one. Lin Yi didn't even know who his mother was, and he didn't know if she was still alive, so Lin Yi didn't feel pressured at all. He had never seen his parents since he was young, and although he did fantasize about his parents when he was young, he had gotten used to it after so many years. He treated old Lin and his master as his family. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Your mother left home. Lin Yi explained embarrassedly. What kind of attitude is that? You're still laughing? Is it funny? Are you mocking me because I'm pitiful? Meng Yao heard that Lin Yi was laughing, and she got even angrier. This was the weakness that was sealed deep in her heart, and Lin Yi's attitude enraged her. Chapter 6:24. Qin Yutian, ah? Lin Yi's words stunned both Meng Yao and Yushu. Lin Yi had never told the Miss and Yushu about his background, and they didn't think much about it. Now that Lin Yi told them about it, they realized that Lin Yi had such a tragic background. He was an orphan? Oh my God! How did he survive all these years? He looked like he didn't care about anything. But could it be that he had a sad side that no one noticed? A woman's natural motherly instinct made the Miss feel pity for Lin Yi. Yes, she was nothing compared to him. At least she saw her mother, and she had a father who loved her. But what about Lin Yi? He didn't even know who his parents were. Wasn't that even more pitiful? I'm sorry. The Miss was someone who could learn from her mistakes. She apologized immediately after hearing Lin Yi's words. I shouldn't have said that. I really didn't know. You're even more pitiful than me. I'm used to it. It's fine. Lin Yi shook his head. Don't fall for it again. If something like this happens, you have to inform your father first. I believe he knows your mother better than you do. And Meng Yao nodded, surprisingly not refuting Lin Yi's words. The atmosphere was a little sad as they talked, but the Mrs. Mood recovered a little. She still couldn't be happy, but at least she wouldn't cry anymore. Lin Yi parked the car in the parking lot of the Starlight Hotel, half an hour late. The two girls had stayed at home for a while, and they'd gotten into a car accident on the way. They were stuck in traffic for a while, and that was why they were late. However, none of them looked embarrassed. They got out of the car confidently and walked to the hotel. Lin Yi was just a follower, so it didn't matter to him whether he was late or not. He followed the two into the hotel leisurely. Qin Yutian was already in the room, talking to Jiang Wen and Taizao. His face looked normal, but he was extremely unhappy on the inside. One was because of Ling Shan's rejection, and the other was because of that shield bro who popped out of nowhere. His sister said that she didn't need him anymore. She had shield bro. Qin Yutian was furious. He only had one sister, and now she was going to be taken away? What shield bro? Shield sis. I'm going to see who this shield bro really is. Wasn't he Meng Yao's follower and bodyguard? He wanted to see if this person had the qualifications to be her bodyguard. If he wasn't qualified, then F***CK off and let him be shield bro somewhere else. At least this place didn't welcome him. As they were talking, there was a knock on the door. Jiang Wen wanted to open the door and welcome Meng Yao, but Yutian stood up first. He wanted to see who this shield bro was. Come in. Qin Yutian opened the door as he spoke, and Meng Yao and Yushu walked in. Yutian bro. Meng Yao was very polite to Yushu's brother. She greeted him as soon as she entered the room before turning to Jiang Wen and Taizao. Jiang Wen bro, Taizao bro. Bro. Yushu followed Meng Yao into the room, but Yutian's face darkened. Where's that shield bro? Is he coming with us? Yutian wasn't an impulsive person, but he had no choice but to stand up. His sister was taken away. How could he not be worried? Yushu made it very clear that she had shield bro now, and she didn't need him as her brother anymore. How could Yutian not be troubled? Not angry? Oh, you're looking for shield bro? Yushu didn't seem to notice the tense expression on Yutian's face. He's in the back. Yutian nodded and walked to the door. When Lin Yi came in, he reached out his hand. You're that shield bro, right? Let me introduce myself. I'm Yushu's brother, Yutian. Chun Yutian wanted to embarrass this shield bro. He was already at the early phase of the golden class, and normal people weren't his match. He wanted to let his sister know that her brother was always the strongest. Huh. Lin Yi looked at Yutian with a weird expression, but he still reached out his hand. Huh. Yutian's eyes widened as he stared at Lin Yi. He couldn't believe his eyes. He pointed at Lin Yi in excitement. You. Teach. Let me introduce myself. I'm the shield bro you mentioned. Lin Yi interrupted Yutian with a smile. Yao Yao and Shu's follower. Ah. Yutian was even more shocked. He was Meng Yao and his sister's follower? What was going on? How did he become their follower? Wasn't Meng Yao and his sister too important? They actually invited him to be their follower? But looking at Lin Yi's actions, Yutian understood that Lin Yi didn't want him to reveal his identity. He introduced himself to Yutian as Meng Yao and Yushu's follower. Yutian found it hard to believe, but since Lin Yi didn't want to reveal his identity, he wouldn't say it. He held onto Lin Yi's hand excitedly. Hello, hello. I'm Yutian, Yushu's brother, hee ha ha. Jiang Wen and Taizao frowned. What was wrong with this Yutian? Before Lin Yi came, he said that he wanted to teach this Lin Yi a lesson for stealing his sister's place. Why was he like this now? Yushu wasn't afraid of her brother bullying Lin Yi. Instead, she wanted her brother to suffer in front of Lin Yi. She stopped thinking about Lingshan, but she didn't expect her brother to act like this, as if he regretted not meeting Lin Yi earlier. Since you're Yushu's brother, I'll call you Yutian bro. Lin Yi was younger than Yutian, so calling him Yutian bro wasn't a bad thing. Yutian, on the other hand, was flattered. He was about to reject when he saw Lin Yi's sharp eyes. He quickly nodded. Okay, I'll call you Lil bro then. Meng Yao and Yushu widened their eyes. Was this Yutian someone who was easy to talk to? Even if Lin Yi was their follower and bodyguard, Yutian didn't have to thank Lin Yi for protecting them every day, did he? The two looked at each other and saw confusion in each other's eyes. Chapter 6, 25. Drowning his sorrows in wine even if he was defeated by Lingshan today, and he was pissed off by Shield Bro, and he was surprised when he saw Lin Yi. Yutian felt that he couldn't stay calm. It seemed like his years of training weren't enough. On the other hand, Lin Yi was still expressionless, as if he didn't know him. Yutian couldn't help but sigh. The gap between them was something he would never be able to catch up to. Yushu was also curious about her brother's attitude towards Lin Yi. Why didn't he seem to be hostile towards Lin Yi? Was it because Shield Bro was too weak that her brother couldn't bring himself to be hostile towards him? Or was it because he was too strong that her brother didn't dare to be hostile towards him? After they sat down, Jiang Wen told the waiters to start serving the dishes and ordered quite a lot of red wine. Since the food was prepared beforehand, it didn't take much time for Meng Yao and the others to arrive and serve the food on the table. Yutian bro, I didn't think that you're a major now. We've all grown up. As the host today, Jiang Wen naturally raised his glass first. In the blink of an eye, we're about to start our own families. I miss those carefree days. Ha ha. People have to grow up eventually. Yutian raised his glass as well, but he felt bitter in his heart. If it wasn't for Lingshan, he wouldn't have walked the path of righteousness, right? Would he still be as spoiled as before? Yutian could never forget Lingshan's look of disdain. That hatred toward spoiled young masters came from the bottom of her heart. This was also the reason why Yutian pulled himself together. However, Yutian still couldn't surpass Lingshan. No matter how hard he tried, he started too late. He wasn't as good as Lingshan, and naturally, he couldn't catch up no matter how hard he tried. What surprised Lin Yi was that Meng Yao raised her glass as well and drank it all in one gulp. The miss didn't like Jiang Wen at all, right? Why would she drink all the red wine in the glass under his suggestion? Lin Yi glanced at Meng Yao in surprise. only to see that her expression was very lonely. Lin Yi was slightly stunned, but he immediately understood that the eldest miss was still thinking about her mother and had not recovered from her emotional state. At this moment, she was just drowning her sorrows in alcohol. Lin Yi had gotten over his parents' issues a long time ago, but Meng Yao wasn't the same way. She had seen her mother when she was young, and Lin Yi had never seen his parents before. It was a completely different feeling, and so Meng Yao missed them and felt melancholy. She had always hidden these emotions in her heart, but Pin Liang had pulled them out, and she had no way to vent them. It was an oppressive feeling, and if she couldn't release it, she'd be in a bad mood. Drinking to drown her sorrows wasn't a bad idea. In fact, that was exactly what Meng Yao was thinking. She wouldn't drink if she were to eat with Jiang Wen alone. Who knew what Jiang Wen would do if she got drunk? But now that Lin Yi was beside her, Meng Yao let down her guard. She didn't believe that Lin Yi wouldn't care about her if she got drunk. She had this shield anyway. It'd be a waste if she didn't use it. Jiang Wen saw Meng Yao drink all the wine in one gulp, and a look of surprise flashed across his eyes, but it was quickly replaced by excitement. He was afraid that Meng Yao wouldn't give him face and not drink. If that happened, then he wouldn't be able to drink too much. If he didn't drink enough, then he wouldn't be able to confess after drinking too much. He and Tai Zhao had thought of a lot of excuses to persuade Meng Yao to drink, but it seemed like they were useless now. Jiang Wen was still troubled. What was wrong with Meng Yao today? Why wasn't she playing by the rules? He'd wasted so many brain cells thinking of excuses, and now it was all wasted. Yao Yao, why did you drink so much? Yushu noticed that something was wrong as well. Nothing. I just wanted to drink, Meng Yao said faintly, not admitting the unhappiness in her heart. Oh, then can I drink as well? Yushu bit her lips, looking at the red wine in her glass with greedy eyes. She didn't drink normally because she didn't have much contact with things like this at home. Meng Yao didn't let her drink normally, and she'd thought about it a couple of times, but Meng Yao always rejected her. She didn't think that Meng Yao would take the initiative to drink today. Sure, but not too much. Meng Yao nodded after some hesitation. Oh. Yushu picked up her glass of red wine. She didn't drink when they raised their glasses earlier, and now that no one raised their glasses, she started enjoying the wine. Fortunately, everyone here was used to Yushu's personality, and no one said anything. It's sweet and sour. It looks pretty good. Yushu took a sip and drank the whole glass in one gulp. It wasn't a top-grade red wine, but it was Jiang Wen's treat, and it wouldn't be cheap. Drink more if it tastes good. Jiang Wen was afraid that they wouldn't drink, so he filled his glass and raised it again. Cheers, Shu, Yao Yao. I wish you two eternal beauty and youth. Yushu didn't give Jiang Wen any face at all. She didn't even wait for him to finish before pouring another glass. Yao Yao, this is better than fruit juice. But you can't drink too much, you'll get drunk, Meng Yao said, but she really wanted to get drunk. She'd be able to forget the sadness in her heart, and when she woke up, she'd be back to her strong self. What's this? Yushu asked as she took the bottle from Lin Yi after another drink. I don't know, but it's drinkable. Meng Yao didn't drink much, so how would she know? Even if she came from a rich family, she was still a 12th grader. Pingzhan wouldn't allow her to drink as she pleased. Chapter 6, 26. More bottles? Haha, a 09 Lafite tastes pretty much the same as a 82 Lafite, and so it's one of the best-selling years in the market. The price is fair, and the taste is pure. Taizao added, Oh, looks like Jiang Wen bro's not bad, treating us to a world-famous wine. Yushu nodded and turned to Meng Yao happily. Right, Yao Yao, sis? Jiang Wen felt really good after hearing Yushu's words. Yushu, oh Yushu, you've never done anything good for me all these years, and now you're finally saying something fair for me. You're too awesome. Haha, it's nothing. As long as Yao Yao and Shu are happy, a few bottles are nothing. Jiang Wen said faintly with a wave of his hand. Yeah, But what does that 82 Lafite taste like? Yao Yao sis, do you want some? Yushu turned to Meng Yao. Meng Yao was feeling a little sad at first, but Yushu's words made her want to laugh. So this was the girl's goal. She wanted to try another 82 Lafite. Jiang Wen's face froze. He didn't expect Yushu to say that. Wasn't this a trap? 82 Lafite? The market price of that wine was over 150,000, and in this Starlight Hotel it was sold for 300,000. Jiang Wen's kidneys were hurting. Jiang Wen bro, Yao Yao wants to try 82 Lafite too. We haven't tried it yet. Can you get us a few bottles? Yushu had used this trick on Pin Liang countless times, and it was a piece of cake for her. A few bottles? My kidneys. Jiang Wen almost fainted on the spot. 300,000 a bottle. One bottle was equivalent to one kidney, and some kidneys couldn't even be bought at this price. Did this Miss Chen really think she was a millionaire? Did she think it was easy to earn money? The police were pressuring him, and his business was decreasing. He had no choice, and he sold his kidneys all the way to the countryside. He couldn't even get 1 or 2 kidneys a week, and now he was eating a couple of kidneys in one meal? He was so pissed that he wanted to curse. He glared at Taizao. What the hell was wrong with your mouth? If you don't speak, will people think you're mute? How was Yushu supposed to know about 82 Lafite if you didn't mention 82 Lafite? But he couldn't lose his temper on the spot. That would make him look like a coward. How was he going to pursue Meng Yao then? Especially since Yushu said that Meng Yao wanted to drink as well. How could he say no? Waiter, 2 bottles of 1982 Lafite. Jiang Wen endured the pain in his heart and ordered 2 bottles. 2 bottles aren't enough, right? Yao Yao and I have a bottle each. What do you guys want? Yushu took the 2 bottles of 82 Lafite all for herself. That's enough. We don't drink that. We used to drink it all the time. You too, just have a taste. Jiang Wen wanted to cry. 2 bottles wasn't enough? Do you want me to sell my kidney? House and was rich. But the 2 brothers were in charge of their own businesses. Other than the money they had to give to the house and the firewolves, they didn't have much left. A meal that cost tens of thousands became hundreds of thousands. This was a huge blow to Jiang Wen's finances. Chun Yutian thought to himself that his sister was still as cruel as ever. It wasn't something a normal person could handle. But the weird thing was, how did he become Meng Yao and his sister's follower? What was going on? With his strength, he could protect any big shot. But why did he have to protect 2 little girls? But Lin Yi clearly didn't allow him to reveal his identity, so Yutian didn't dare to ask. But none of this could stop the passion in Yutian's heart. He admired Lin Yi. One could say that if it wasn't for Lin Yi, he wouldn't have the strength he had today. 2 bottles of 82 Lafite were placed on the table. Lin Yi glanced at the seal and label casually. It was the real deal. Although there were a lot of counterfeit 1982 Lafite in the market, the Starlight Hotel should not sell fake goods with its specifications and strength. After all, the price of the genuine goods was not cheap. It was 1 to 2 times the price of the normal channels. Yao Yao sis, let's drink 1 bottle first. Can we bring the other one back? Yushu felt that it was better to bring it home than to drink here. Shield bro could cook some dishes, and the 3 of them could have a candlelight dinner together. How romantic would that be? Up to you. Whatever Meng Yao drank was the same. She just wanted to vent, to drown her sorrows with alcohol. She wanted to let the sadness in her heart dissipate along with the alcohol. Jiang Wen almost jumped up from his chair after hearing Yushu's words. You want to bring it back? Why didn't you say so earlier? Why did you buy it in the hotel? You could go to the store tomorrow and buy 1 bottle at a discount of 150,000. It was half a kidney, but Jiang Wen couldn't say this out loud. It would only make him lose more face. He could only endure it. His main mission today was to get everyone drunk and then confess his love. Jiang Wen could only put other thoughts aside. If his confession was successful today, then these 100,000 would be worth it. And so Jiang Wen started drinking as well. In order to make it seem real, he didn't purposely control his alcohol capacity. His alcohol capacity was quite high, and red wine wouldn't get him too drunk. Jiang Wen's anger lessened a little as he watched Taizao raise his glass for all sorts of reasons. This guy was smart enough to help him drink. Yu Tian was very restrained today. Because of Lin Yi's presence, he couldn't let himself go at all. He glanced at Lin Yi from the corner of his eyes, but Lin Yi was as calm as ever. He just sat there, looking straight ahead and not saying a word. But Chun Yutian still felt an invisible pressure suffocating him. Jiang Wen and Taizao hadn't seen Yutian for a long time, so they didn't think much of it. They thought that Yutian's personality changed after he joined the army. Jiang Wen's main goal was to treat Meng Yao and then confess his love after drinking. So, what Yutian was like had nothing to do with him. It was just an excuse. The 4 young masters of Songshan were no longer the 4 young masters of Songshan. Their relationship wasn't as close as they thought. His phone rang and Jiang Wen frowned. He took out his phone and looked at the caller ID. It was his follower, the tattooed man, calling. He hesitated before picking up the phone. "What's up?" "I'm having dinner." Chapter 6:27. Tipping off, wait. Jiang Wen couldn't even tell Taizao what he'd done, so he couldn't say it in the room. He stood up and said to the people in the room, "I'm going to take a call. Everyone drink first." With that, he got up and left the room. Lin Yi's hearing was amazing, but he couldn't hear what Jiang Wen was saying. He could only vaguely make out the word police. He'd been paying attention to Jiang Wen in the first place, and his instincts told him that there was something wrong with this call. After Jiang Wen left, Lin Yi stood up as well. "I'm going to the washroom." Taizao didn't know that Jiang Wen's phone was behind his back, and he thought that Jiang Wen was trying to maintain his gentlemanly image in front of Meng Yao because it was impolite to make a call in the room. He didn't even look at Lin Yi when he left the room. As far as he was concerned, Lin Yi was just a small bodyguard, not worth mentioning. He was only being polite to Lin Yi so that he could help Jiang Wen pursue Meng Yao. Lin Yi broke Master Bing's legs and even tore down Master Bing's skyscraper. Taizao was there with Jiang Wen at Master Bing's completion ceremony, and he couldn't believe it. How was Lin Yi still alive? After offending Master Bing, would he still be able to leisurely eat with Meng Yao and Yushu? Didn't Master Bing take revenge? But as weird as it was, Jiang Wen only smiled faintly when he told Taizao about it, not explaining anything. Taizao didn't know, but Jiang Wen did. Sihua had revealed that 2 of his golden class masters had died under Lin Yi's hands. Lin Yi wasn't a normal person, was he? If he were just a normal bodyguard, why would Jiang Wen pay him back? He'd suffered a few times in Jiang Wen's hands, and he'd still call him brother? Was there something wrong with his head? Jiang Wen's bodyguards weren't there yet, and he wouldn't mess with Lin Yi for no reason. As for why Master Bing didn't make a move, perhaps he was afraid? After all, Lin Yi and Sihua were enemies that couldn't be resolved. Of course, this had nothing to do with Jiang Wen. All he cared about was the family business and whether or not he could get Meng Yao. Nothing else mattered to him. After leaving the room, Jiang Wen walked to the end of the hallway, step by step, until there was no one around before continuing the call. Although he was a little drunk, he was still very cautious. There were some things that he absolutely could not let others know. He regretted cutting out one of Pin Liang's kidneys. Of course, he didn't regret offending Master Bing and Sihua because of Pin Liang. What he regretted was that he shouldn't have cut off Pin Liang's kidney. Crippling him or even crushing his balls was better than cutting off a kidney. Wouldn't that expose him easily? Fortunately, Fabai didn't call the police, and Sihua had a working relationship with him, so this matter was temporarily suppressed. Otherwise, something bad might happen. Why do you have to ask me about such a small matter? Just keep an eye on him. We'll talk about it after a while. Jiang Wen was in a hurry to confess to Meng Yao, so he was a little impatient with the tattooed guy. When bro The fire wolves are rushing us. They're short on supplies. Why don't we spend some money to buy some? Some of those farmers are short on money. If we spend money to buy a kidney, we should be able to get some, the tattooed guy said carefully. By my ass, where's the money? Jiang Wen's heart was bleeding when he thought about how he had spent hundreds of thousands on today's meal. How would he be willing to spend money to buy a kidney? How many kidneys would he have to cut to cover the cost of today's meal? The tattooed guy didn't expect Jiang Wen to be this angry. He didn't dare to say anything. Useless thing. Kyaxi village is no good. Can't you go to another village? I heard that the Bin village in the north is also very poor. Many people are undocumented, and they don't even have a household registration. Can't you go there? Jiang Wen said impatiently. Yes. We'll go to Bin village next. The tattooed guy replied quickly. All right. Don't call me if there's nothing important. I still have things to do. Jiang Wen cursed and hung up the phone. He put away his phone and was about to go back to the room. Lin Yi flashed into the washroom at the side. Naturally, Jiang Wen didn't notice that Lin Yi was eavesdropping on his phone behind him. If Lin Yi was right, this Jiang Wen was most likely the mastermind behind the kidney trafficking organization. However, whether or not he sold his kidneys didn't really matter to Lin Yi, as long as it didn't implicate him and his friends. Lin Yi really couldn't be bothered with him. However, since Ling Shan came to him for help, and Lin Yi also agreed to help her, so Lin Yi decided to help her this once. Seeing that there was no one in the washroom, Lin Yi dialed Ling Shan's number. In fact, this floor was full of luxurious rooms, and every room had its own washroom. Therefore, there weren't many people in the public washroom. Other than the waiters, the customers didn't have to go to the public washroom. Lin Yi. Ling Shan received Lin Yi's call. She was inexplicably surprised. Although she didn't know why Lin Yi was looking for her, her instinct told her that it must be something good. There's a Bin village in the north of the city. You can pay attention to it. Lin Yi didn't waste any time and directly told Ling Shan the news he heard from Jiang Wen. Bin village? Ling Shan was stunned, but she immediately understood what Lin Yi meant. Could it be that it was the next target of the kidney trafficking organization? Ling Shan was excited. Although she was curious how Lin Yi got the news, she was smart enough not to ask. Ling Shan had seen Lin Yi's uniqueness firsthand, and as an obedient and lovable Miss Braindead, she knew that Lin Yi wouldn't like it if she kept asking him questions all the time. All right, I still have something to do. I'll hang up first. Lin Yi heard faint footsteps coming from the corridor and quickly said to Ling Shan, Thanks, Miss Braindead will treat you to a meal next time. You've really helped her a lot. Ling Shan said in a cute and gentle tone. Lin Yi didn't reply and directly hung up. Looking at the end of the call, Ling Shan gritted her teeth in anger. Since when did she have to lower herself like this? This Lin Yi didn't even care about her. However, Ling Shan was disappointed again. Who asked her to ask Lin Yi for help? Forget it. She'll just treat it as a couple acting coquettishly. Luckily, there's no third person who knows. Ling Shan comforted herself. Chapter 6:28. Reporting to you after leaving the office, Ling Shan changed her gentle demeanor and turned to the captains. Turn off your phones and get ready for the meeting. We have an urgent mission tonight, yes. Captain Song. The captains were troubled by the kidney trafficking case as well. This was the worst case that had happened in Songshan in the past few years, and even the provincial leaders had ordered the criminal investigation team to solve the case as soon as possible, in order to minimize the negative effects of the criminal organization. Otherwise, the people in the city would be in a state of panic. Children wouldn't even dare to go to school by themselves. Even the kidney trafficking organization had become a terrifying code name. If a child cried, the parent would use the kidney trafficking organization to scare the child, and the child would immediately stop crying. The negative effects of the case had reached a certain level, and so the criminal police team had been working overtime to analyze the case and look for clues, but the progress was minimal. After all, this wasn't an individual crime, but a criminal organization with a tight organization and distribution channels. A criminal organization like this was the hardest to find evidence and clues because they would only make their move when they were looking for a kidney source, and after that they would perform the surgery in their own territory to remove the kidney and then have their own distribution channels to sell the kidney. During this time, they wouldn't contact a third party, and so there were no traces to follow. Captain Song, you found a clue? Lu Wangli was the closest to Ling Shan, and so when he saw the serious expression on Ling Shan's face, his heart skipped a beat. Could it be that there was a breakthrough in the case? Yeah, at least there's a clue. Ling Shan said proudly as she looked at everyone's respectful gazes. Ling Shan felt that her acting like a spoiled brat wasn't for nothing. There's a clue. Everyone had a vague guess, but they weren't sure. After all, the case was too complicated. They admired and looked forward to Ling Shan. But to say that Ling Shan had found a clue just by staying in the office for a while was a little too unbelievable. After all, Ling Shan was still at her wits' end during the meeting in the afternoon, and was scolded by the leaders. If it wasn't for Huaijuan, the entire criminal investigation team would have been scolded. I received a tip-off and found out the next location of the criminal group. Ling Shan wouldn't reveal the exact location before the action. These men were all trained by Huaijuan and could be trusted, but it was better to be safe than sorry. Who knew how long it'd take for them to get their hands on the information? Next, we'll talk about the plan. Let's brainstorm, everyone. If we arrest them directly, it might be the same as last time. They are all small fries and won't be of any help to the case. Everyone nodded after listening and began to express their opinions on the operation plan. Not long after Lin Yi hung up the phone, he heard the footsteps at the door getting closer and closer. The person was obviously coming to the bathroom. Lin Yi was a little puzzled. Who would want to go to the washroom? He thought it was a waiter, but the person who came made Lin Yi slightly stunned. It was Chun Yutian. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He knew that Chun Yutian was here for him, or else he wouldn't come to the public washroom. Sir, Special Training Team 0197, reporting for duty. Chun Yutian stood up straight and solemnly saluted to Lin Yi. His words were crisp and clean. Huh. Lin Yi smiled faintly but didn't reply. He shrugged. I'm just a follower, not your instructor. Lin Yi didn't return the salute, which meant that Lin Yi had abandoned his previous identity. Chun Yutian's salute was wasted. His expression froze, but he didn't show any disrespect. Sir, after you left, I heard that you went on a special mission. How come? I came back a long time ago. Lin Yi's tone was still indifferent. I've said it before, I'm not your instructor now. I'm Ming Yao's follower. And of course, your sister's follower too. She calls me Shield Bro, you can call me that too? Or if you're older than me, you can call me Shield Bro or Lin Yi. Lin Yi. So the instructor's name is Lin Yi. Today was the first time Chun Yutian heard Lin Yi's real name. In the special training team, Lin Yi's code name was Eagle, and all the members called Lin Yi Instructor, or Instructor Eagle. All right, I should go back. Lin Yi didn't want to talk about the past, so he waved his hand and left the washroom. How did the instructor become my sister's follower? Chun Yutian couldn't understand this logic, but he couldn't do anything if Lin Yi didn't want to talk about it. He dreamed of meeting the instructor again one day and asking him to teach him a thing or two. But now that he met Lin Yi didn't want to talk about his previous identity. Chun Yutian couldn't bring up his request. Lin Yi went back to the room, and Jiang Wen continued to drink as usual. He didn't say anything when Lin Yi came in, because he didn't expect Lin Yi to tip Ling Shan off. Let's play something fun after drinking, shall we? What's the point of just drinking? Taizao said, what do you guys say? He really was a little drunk. He didn't control his alcohol tolerance, so he was in a daze right now. But it was also because of this that it was more realistic, and people couldn't see through it. Otherwise, with Ming Yao's intelligence, she would definitely see through it and think that it was an act. What do we play? What do you think? Jiang Wen looked at Meng Yao and Yushu. Do you guys have any suggestions? It's fun, it's fun. I love playing. Yushu agreed with both hands. It was so boring to drink, and she would drag Yao Yao back home if they kept drinking. Meng Yao didn't say anything, nor did she refute. To be honest, she didn't want to play with Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao, but she remembered that Shu and Lin were here, and Shu wanted to play, so she decided to play. I think, why don't we play Truth or Dare? Tai Zhao said, and Chun Yutian came back to the room. Tai Zhao heard him and said, Yutian bro, let's play together? We used to play a lot, ha. Do you remember when you chose Dare to kiss Ling Shan and got beaten up? Ha ha ha. Chapter 6, 29. How embarrassing. Yu Tian's face darkened. This was something he'd done when he was younger, something Tai Zhao had planned, making him choose Dare and kiss Ling Shan. But he'd gotten beaten up by Ling Shan instead, and this Tai Zhao was treating it as a joke. But seeing that Tai Zhao was drunk as well, Yu Tian didn't do anything out of respect for each other. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was taken aback. Yu Tian was Ling Shan's pursuer? It seemed like Ling Shan wasn't that interested in him. Lin Yi wondered how Ling Shan would react if he kissed her. There was a high chance that he would swallow the humiliation. What's truth or dare? Lin Yi had never heard of this game, nor had he played it before. Haha, it seems like Lin Yi bro hasn't played it before. Tai Zhao, explain the rules. Jiang Wen said, All right, it's very simple. Tai Zhao said, Truth or Dare is a game for many people to play together. You can use rock, paper, scissors, or you can spin a bottle to decide who to ask. Of course, you can also ask them one by one. We have more people, so we don't have to play rock, paper, scissors anymore. Then, let's say I'm the questioner and I can ask a question, and the person has to answer it, and it has to be the truth, no bullshit. If someone sees through the bullshit, they'll have to drink a bottle as punishment. Of course, if the question is sensitive or personal, you can choose not to answer, but you'll have to choose Dare. Dare, on the other hand, is where I ask a question and the person has to do it. There can't be any objections, and they have to do everything. After choosing Dare, you can't go back on your words, unless you choose to drink a bottle as punishment. Oh, then you guys play first. I'll watch. Lin, he didn't care if he participated or not. It didn't have much to do with him anyway. All right, we'll play first then, you watch. Tai Zhao nodded, agreeing to it. As far as he was concerned, it didn't matter if Lin Yi participated or not, as long as Meng Yao participated. I'll start with an bro then. All right, ask away. Jiang Wen nodded calmly. As far as he was concerned, Tai Zhao wouldn't ask him those tricky questions, and he couldn't just confess to Meng Yao in the first round, either. That would be too abrupt. He'd have to at least wait for a round before he could confess his love to Meng Yao. Then I'll start first. The first question won't be so tricky. Humph, Tai Zhao said on purpose. My question is, what's the bravest thing you've ever done? The bravest. Jiang Wen thought about it. The bravest thing he'd ever done was cutting out someone else's kidney. Of course, he couldn't say that out loud. He still had to maintain a positive image in front of Meng Yao, so he couldn't talk about those fights. He thought about it for a while and realized that there were a lot of bad things he'd done, but none of them were positive. Jiang Wen couldn't help but feel annoyed at Tai Zhao's question. What the fuck was this bullshit question? But he had to answer it, or it wouldn't be truth or dare anymore. Only Jiang Wen himself would know if it was the truth or not. Jiang Wen organized his words and remembered some adventure movies he'd seen before. The bravest thing I've ever done is fighting sharks. Oh, I love fighting sharks the most. Yao likes brave people too. Yushu clapped her hands and cheered. Meng Yao glared at Yushu, but didn't say anything. Jiang Wen was overjoyed at Yushu's words. Meng Yao liked brave people? It seemed like Tai Zhao's question was right. It seemed like he'd have to do his best then. Thus, he said, I was once at a beach. I was swimming when I suddenly heard screams and cries for help not far behind me. As soon as I turned around, I saw a big shark swimming toward me. At this time, I didn't think of running away, but I wanted to save these tourists from danger. So I quickly swam toward the shark. The shark saw me and thought that I was coming to die. It was very happy and wanted to swim over to eat me. How could it know that it was actually itself that was going to die? Wow, Jiangwen bro, you're so brave, Yushu exclaimed. It's all right. Jiangwen got even more excited after hearing Yushu's praise. He started making up stories with the help of the alcohol. I punched the shark in the mouth and broke all its teeth. That shark lost its teeth and became a toothless tiger. It couldn't eat me anymore, so it was stunned. Then it turned around and tried to run. And how could I let it get away? Trying to run after scaring people? How could it be that easy? So I grabbed the shark's tail and swung it around, and it fell on the beach with a loud bang, getting a concussion. Shit! Yushu's eyes widened in disbelief. Jiangwen bro, you're so strong. I heard that shark teeth are the toughest animal teeth in the world, and you can even break them. You're so strong. Jiangwen paused. How would he know how strong a shark's teeth were? He'd only seen sharks in the aquarium when they were alive. He'd never touched a real one before. He was just making up stories to show off his bravery. He didn't think too much about it. But now that the words had been said, there was no room for regret. He had to bite the bullet and said, It's all right. It's not very powerful. Oh, Jiangwen bro, I have a shark tooth keychain here. Can you show me how to break it? Yushu took out a keychain and put it on the table. This was the shark that Lin Yi killed last time, and Yushu took one of its teeth and made it into a keychain out of boredom. Wah! Jiangwen's eyes widened, and his face almost cramped. He didn't think that Yushu would really take out a tooth for him to break. Was this a joke? Shark teeth were the toughest teeth in the world, and he wouldn't even be able to break a normal tooth. Chapter 630. Buy one free 1-inch ha. That shark's teeth weren't very sturdy. Jiangwen said with a laugh. Not very sturdy? What do you mean? Yushu blinked confusedly. Meng Yao couldn't help but want to laugh. Her best friend looked like an idiot, but unknowingly she could twist other people's words around and mess with them. That shark might have had fake teeth. That's why it wasn't sturdy. Tai Zhao quickly helped Jiangwen out of the predicament. Fake teeth? Sharks go to dentists? Yushu said, surprised. There's a clinic in the sea. Jiangwen was pissed. Was there something wrong with this Tai Zhao? Even if he was drunk, he shouldn't be talking nonsense. Sharks had fake teeth? Did he think it was a human? No, don't listen to him. Jiangwen said quickly. The shark I hit was an old one. Its teeth were loose, so it couldn't take a hit. Oh, it's an old shark. Yushu nodded. Jiangwen bro, you're amazing. You can even tell that it's an old shark. Ha, that's true. All right, let's not talk about this. Let's move on to the next question. Jiangwen waved his hand. I'll invite you to my house one day. I still have the shark skin. Oh, all right. I've never seen an old shark skin before. I'll have to get someone to appraise it. Yushu nodded. Sharks are my favorite thing to do. Jiangwen almost scolded himself for being an idiot. Why did he bring up shark skin for no reason? What if Yushu went to see it? Where would he get it for her? Shark skin was easy to find, as he could just buy one from the market. But old shark skin was hard to find. What if Yushu found out that it wasn't an old shark? Wouldn't he be slapping himself in the face? All right, we'll talk about it another day. Jiangwen could only force himself to agree. He turned to Yutian. Yutian bro, it's my turn to ask. Okay, go ahead. Chun Yutian looked at Jiangwen, making a fool out of himself. He felt that it was funny. His sister was really a clown. She could even squeeze someone to death with her words. Who is the most important person to you? And Jiang Wen wanted to ask some tricky questions, but remembered that Taizao said that the first round would be some normal questions. It wouldn't be good if he asked some tricky questions, so he decided to ask a normal one. As far as he was concerned, the most important person to Yutian was naturally Lingshan. For me, the most important person is none other than my instructor during my special training. Chun Yutian looked at Lin Yi with respect, but Lin Yi didn't even look at him. Yutian was disappointed, but he continued. He changed my life, gave me dreams, gave me goals, and made me a great soldier. If possible, I want to be his student forever. Yutian's words confused Jiang Wen and Taizao. Yutian had changed a lot these few years, but they didn't know who his instructor was. They didn't think much of it. Whether or not he was still pursuing Lingshan had nothing to do with Jiang Wen and Taizao. Yushu, on the other hand, looked at her brother in shock. She didn't expect her brother, who was obsessed with Lingshan, to say something like this. The most important person to him was actually his instructor. From the looks of it, my brother has really matured a lot, and he also has a new life ideal and goal. But who is his instructor? Was he really that good? Was he as good as Shield Bro? All right, Shu, it's my turn to ask you. Yutian didn't wait for Jiang Wen to say anything. He asked Yushu directly, who do you think is better, me or your Shield Bro? Jiang Wen and Taizao, of course, knew who Shield Bro was. They thought that Yutian was angry when he asked this question. Otherwise, he wouldn't ask this question. If Yushu didn't answer well, Yutian and Lin Yi would probably have a conflict, wouldn't they? Jiang Wen was gloating. He had a good relationship with Lin Yi on the surface, but that was only because Lin Yi was always by Mingyao's side, giving him information. In fact, Jiang Wen hated Lin Yi a lot. He was messed with by Lin Yi twice in this room of Starlight Hotel. How could Jiang Wen forget that humiliation? If Yutian could beat up Lin Yi for him, Jiang Wen would be very happy. Yutian was Yushu's brother. Even if he beat up Lin Yi wouldn't dare to fight back because of Mengyao, right? Haha. Then this beating would be for nothing. Lin Yi was really unlucky. But it all depended on Yushu's answer. So, Jiang Wen waited for Yutian to finish his question and stared at Yushu, waiting for her answer. Oh, I think Shield Bro's a little stronger, right? Yushu wasn't expecting a question like that. Was he still holding a grudge against her for that phone call? But seeing that her brother wasn't showing any hostility towards Lin Yi, Yushu didn't care anymore. Haha, all right, Shu, it's your turn to ask Mengyao. Yutian smiled and didn't say anything else. Jiang Wen and Taizao's eyes widened. What the hell was going on? When did Chun Yutian's temper become so good? Then I'll ask. Yushu nodded and looked at Mengyao. Yao, I'll be the second wife, and you'll be the main wife, won't you bully me? I don't want to be bullied. Mengyao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What kind of question was that? Be a concubine? Did Yushu really take it seriously? Yutian was taken aback as well. His sister's way of thinking was really weird. She wanted to be a concubine? Jiang Wen, on the other hand, almost felt his heart explode after hearing Yushu's words. Yushu wasn't bad-looking, and she had a great body. But it'd be a disaster if he married her. He knew Yushu's personality very well. She liked Mengyao, and if he married Mengyao, how was he going to live with this buy one get one free system? Those who didn't know Yushu's personality would think that it was a great deal, but those who knew Yushu's personality would know that she was bringing a troublemaker home. He didn't want to live in the shadow of being messed with every day. In this short dinner, Yushu had messed with him a few times. If he brought her home, how could he live? Chapter 631. It's a tragedy to take a risk. Oh, then it's settled. I'll be a small wife from now on. Yushu said happily. Ahem, Yutian bro. I think there's something wrong with Shu's way of thinking. Jiang Wen's heart was about to explode. This was unacceptable. It was a man's dream to have a mistress, but it didn't matter what type of mistress they were. If he married Yushu as well, wouldn't he be screwed to death? Was he going to live or not? Kids always like to mess around. Yutian didn't think much of it. He thought that his sister was joking. After all, it sounded ridiculous. His sister's way of thinking had always been different from others. It was possible that she was lying to Jiang Wen. This doesn't seem like fooling around. Jiang Wen said earnestly, Yutian bro, you have to guide your sister properly. This is a new era. How can there still be mistresses? This won't do. You have to educate her properly. But Yutian didn't say anything when Yushu spoke up first. This is between me and Yao Yao, sis. What does it have to do with you? Jie. Jiang Wen didn't know what to say. Yeah, this was someone else's business. Wasn't he being a busybody? If he confessed to Meng Yao and Meng Yao accepted him, then it would have nothing to do with him. But he hadn't confessed yet, had he? All right, it's Sister Yao Yao's turn to ask a question. Yushu glared at Jiang Wen impatiently. Yao Yao, it's your turn to ask. Aye. Meng Yao didn't know what to ask, but after some thought, she still didn't know what to ask. Can I give this authority to Shu? All right, I'll leave it to Shu then. Jiang Wen was in a rush to confess, so there was no reason for him to reject Meng Yao's suggestion. Okay, I love asking questions. Yushu rubbed her hands together, smiling at Taizao. Taizao bro, can I ask a question now? All right, ask away. Taizao nodded as well. He wanted to ask a question that Jiang Wen could confess to. He was in a rush as well. Taizao bro, when did you stop wetting your bed? Yushu asked. Wah. Taizao's eyes went wide, not expecting a question like this. It was a funny question, but it was also a sharp one. Su Taizao had a secret, and that was that he had been wetting his bed since he was young. Although not many people knew about this secret, those who were close to him knew a thing or two. It was just that they didn't want to lose face and wouldn't mention it in front of him. When Taizao was in kindergarten, he once peed all over the kid who slept in the lower bunk. From then on, Taizao never stayed at a school or anything like that again. Even now, he didn't dare drink too much water at night because he was afraid of wetting the bed. This secret was an eternal pain in his heart. Taizao didn't know how to answer Yushu's sudden question. Truth or dare meant that you had to tell the truth. Of course, you could lie if you wanted to, as long as you didn't get caught. But Taizao didn't dare live. This was a secret, but there were people who knew about it. He even thought that Yushu was asking this question because she knew about it. If he lied, Yushu would see through him, and that'd be even more embarrassing. Taizao hated it, but there was nothing he could do about it. The reason was simple. Yushu was that kind of person. Even Jiang Wen was being tortured by her. What was he? Taizao didn't want to tell the truth. He couldn't tell her that he was still wetting his bed, could he? That'd be too embarrassing. But if he didn't say it, he'd have to choose dare or drink as punishment. Taizao had drunk quite a bit already, and it'd be bad if he drank any more. He thought about it and decided to choose dare. I refuse to answer. I choose dare. Oh, that's great. Finally, there's a dare. Yushu clapped her hands in praise. Taizao was even more certain that Yushu was doing this on purpose. She wanted to see if he would take the risk, so she asked this tricky question. In fact, Yushu was just asking randomly. Yutian knew a bit about Taizao's secret, but he wouldn't tell his sister about it. Yushu's question was pure luck. Taizao bro, I order you to drink 2 bottles of red wine. Yushu said after some thought. Wah! Taizao almost jumped out of his chair. 2 bottles of red wine? What kind of joke was this? He didn't choose to drink as punishment because he didn't want to drink anymore, but Yushu was ordering him to drink 2 bottles of red wine. Was she messing with him? But he couldn't go back on his decision since he chose dare. Yushu's request wasn't too much, and it was normal. He couldn't reject it. Taizao was hesitating, and Meng Yao couldn't help but laugh. This Yushu really knew how to play with people. Wasn't she purposely making Taizao regret? Taizao bro, is 2 bottles too little? Why don't you drink 4? Yushu looked at Taizao innocently, as if she wasn't the one who did this. What kind of joke was this? For bottles? Taizao was glad that Yushu wanted him to drink 2 bottles. If he drank 4, he'd be dead. All right, hurry up and drink. We'll continue after that. Jiang Wen's mind was on the confession, so he didn't really care if Taizao drank or not. He just wanted the game to continue. Since Jiang Wen said so, Taizao had no choice but to drink 2 bottles of red wine. All right, let's continue. It's my turn to ask a question. And bro, I want to ask you this. Do you have someone in your heart? Of course. Jiang Wen saw that Taizao was finally getting to the main point, and he started talking excitedly. My sweetheart is my childhood sweetheart, Yao Yao. I've been secretly in love with her since I was young, hoping that she'd be my girlfriend when I grow up, and we'll get married and have kids. Oh, then do you want to have sex with Yao Yao, sis? Yushu interrupted suddenly. Of course. Jiang Wen blurted out without thinking, but felt that something wasn't right. Wah! Chapter 632. Sari Mingyao frowned and glared at Jiang Wen in disgust. She turned to Yushu. Shu, don't use those vulgar words. Oh, I'm just making sure. Yushu stuck her tongue out. Yao Yao, don't misunderstand it. Jiang Wen found it hard to explain. If he denied it and said that he didn't want to do it with her, wouldn't that mean that he didn't like her? How was he supposed to confess then? But it wasn't right to say that he wanted to. Jiang Wen was about to go crazy from anger. This Yushu was a complete mess. Thank goodness he'd listed her as an unwelcome guest from the very beginning. Otherwise, wouldn't his life be shortened if he brought her home? He was pissed to death every day. I'm sorry, Jiang Wen bro. I don't want to do it with you. Yushu said regretfully. What does that have to do with you? Jiang Wen thought. It had nothing to do with her. Even if she wanted to do it with him, he wouldn't dare to do it. But since Yushu changed the topic, it was exactly what Jiang Wen wanted. He could use another topic to ease the awkwardness. Of course it has something to do with me. Yushu nodded seriously. Yao Yao is the main wife and I'm the second wife. If you want to do it with her, you'll have to do it with the second wife, right? But I don't like you. I won't do it with you. Jiang Wen was speechless. He wanted to yell at her, but he didn't dare to. Yu Tian frowned as well. He didn't expect his sister to be so bold. It seemed like he had to find a chance to understand his sister's current life. Shu, don't talk nonsense. Meng Yao stopped her. You're a girl. Don't keep saying that word. It's not good. All right, Yao Yao, I won't say any more. Yushu closed her mouth after saying that. Jiang Wen didn't have any temper at all. He smiled dryly and gave Taizao a look, telling him to continue confessing to Meng Yao in the next round. Yushu ruined it this round, and it was impossible to continue. Brother Yutian, it's my turn to ask you. Jiang Wen wanted to end this round as soon as possible so that Taizao could continue asking him questions. That instructor you're talking about, who is he? I can't say. It's confidential. Yutian knew that he wasn't the star of the show today. He came here because Ling Shan rejected him, and he had nowhere else to go. He didn't expect to see Lin Yi here. This was his biggest reward tonight. Although Lin Yi didn't seem to want to talk about the past, it wasn't important. As long as he found Lin Yi's people, he would have more chances to interact with them in the future. Chun Yutian believed that Lin Yi, one of his best students, wouldn't leave him alone. So Yutian wasn't interested in any games. The only reason he stayed here was to sit face to face with Lin Yi. What a thrilling and exciting thing this was. The instructor who used to be unreachable could actually sit at the same table as him today. How glorious was this? If his former teammates knew about this, they'd probably die from jealousy. Jiang Wen and Taizao froze at Yu Qian's words. They thought that it was just a normal topic, and Yu Qian would just say a few words. They didn't expect him to keep it a secret. Was there something special about this instructor's identity? But even if it was special, it had nothing to do with Jiang Wen and Taizao. They didn't dare to be interested. Jiang Wen was getting impatient, but he continued. Then Yu Qian, bro, do you want to drink as a penalty or dare? I'll drink as a penalty. Yu Qian's alcohol tolerance was quite good, especially after being stationed at the border for the past few years. It was hard to get through the cold winter nights without alcohol, so his alcohol tolerance was much better than before. Yu Qian opened a bottle of red wine and drank it without blinking. He turned to Yushu and asked, Shu, do you have a boyfriend? Chun Yu Qian felt that his sister was getting more and more open-minded. He wanted to test her to see if she had a boyfriend. Oh, I want one too, but Yao Yao sis isn't good enough. She doesn't have a boyfriend, and I can't find one either, Yushu said angrily. No. Yu Qian froze. Still, this was good news. It was just that her sister's way of thinking was a little weird. Was she really that close with Meng Yao? Why did she have to be a mistress? No. Yushu shook her head. All right, it's my turn to ask. Yao Yao sis, when are you going to find a boyfriend? I don't know. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. Don't keep asking weird questions. This is truth or dare. Of course, I have to ask weird questions. Yushu didn't care. Man, I still want to do 3P. If you don't find a boyfriend, when will it happen? Huh? Not only Jiang Wen and Taizao, but Yu Tian's eyes widened as well. He didn't expect Yushu to say something like this. 3P? Jiang Wen's face twitched. It felt good to do 3P, but he didn't have the guts to do it with Yushu. He didn't want to die yet. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was used to it. He sat there expressionlessly. Shu, didn't I tell you not to say it? Why are you using such vulgar words? Meng Yao was getting angry. Yao Yao sis, I didn't say that. I said 3P, not asterisk asterisk. Yushu argued. It's the same. Don't say it again. Meng Yao humphed. Fine, I'll tell you when I get home. Yushu whispered. Not even when you get home. Meng Yao glared at her. She didn't want to continue this topic. All right, you can continue asking Taizao bro questions. Taizao's heart skipped a beat. Yushu was still asking questions. No way. But before he could say anything, Yushu started the second round of questions. Taizao bro, do you still wet your bed? Yushu wasn't stupid. Taizao's rejection of dare made her feel that something was wrong. She thought that Taizao must have wet his bed, so she decided to ask a similar question. You can't do that. I've asked this question before. Taizao jumped up. Chapter 633. Chapter 633. The same question. Yu Tian and Jiang Wen didn't say anything because they knew about Taizao's problem. They just didn't say it out loud. But Jiang Wen felt that Yushu's question was a bit sharper. This girl was really hard to deal with. Yu Tian could only smile bitterly. He didn't know if his sister was really just a coincidence or if she knew something beforehand. This question is different from the previous one. The previous question was, how old did you stop wetting your bed? The question now is, do you still wet your bed? Is it the same? It's obviously not the same, isn't it? Yushu explained with her fingers. Isn't it the same? Taizao felt a headache coming on. Taizao bro, you said it yourself. It's not the same, not the same. You can answer now. Yushu said. Taizao didn't think that he'd fall into Yushu's trap again. He smiled bitterly, not daring to choose dare this time. He picked up a bottle of red wine. I'll drink this as punishment. I refuse to answer. After finishing the wine, Taizao took a few deep breaths and recovered a bit. Seeing that Jiang Wen was getting impatient, he quickly asked, and bro, it's my turn now. I want to ask you, what does your ideal girlfriend look like? Ideal girlfriend. Jiang Wen saw that it was time for him to show off again. He couldn't fall for Yushu's tricks again. He couldn't just answer her sneaky questions like that. He must finish his confession in one breath. My ideal girlfriend. She must have beautiful long hair. Height must be about 165 meters tall, slightly thin, pure and beautiful, and just like you and Yao Yao. All right, Jiang Wen bro, it's your turn to ask my bro. I've already prepared a new question for Yao Yao. Hurry up. Yushu interrupted Jiang Wen before he could say anything. Wait, I'm not done yet. Jiang Wen was panicking. Yushu again? Why was she so annoying? You're done? Taizao bro asked you what your ideal girlfriend looks like, and you've already answered. Just like Yao Yao sis. Yushu said, See, you're done. I'm not done yet. I haven't explained the rest yet. Jiang Wen was pissed. Do you still need to explain? Then hurry up and explain. Yushu was a little impatient and said, dully, Where was I? Jiang Wen asked, forgetting his lines after being interrupted by Yushu. You said that you want to find a girlfriend, just like Yao Yao sis. Yushu said, All right, Jiang Wen bro, I hope you can find a girlfriend like Yao Yao sis. Do you have anything else to say? Wah. Jiang Wen froze. Find a similar one? I'm looking for Meng Yao. What's the point of looking for someone like her? So he hurriedly said, I want to find Yao Yao. That won't do. Yao already has someone she likes, and I don't like you. Yushu waved her hand. All right, let's move on to the next round. Jiang Wen was so pissed off that his nose was crooked. Was this Yushu sent by the heavens to go against him? Although he didn't finish his sentence, Jiang Wen couldn't continue with Yushu's interference. All right, let's move on to the next round. Yutian bro, do you still want to marry Lingshan? I'm not thinking about it anymore. Haha, I feel like the gap is getting bigger and bigger, and the hope is getting smaller and smaller. Yutian didn't avoid this question. He shook his head and said faintly. Yutian finished answering this question, and now it was Yutian's turn to ask Yushu. Yutian thought about what he should ask his sister. He had asked everything he needed to ask. His sister didn't have a boyfriend yet, so she was probably still pretending to get a room. She was still as dumb as before. Right, when you were young, you buried a metal box with Yao Yao in the yard. What's the secret in it? Yutian asked his sister curiously, but she blushed and refused to answer. Meng Yao also avoided answering this question on purpose. After a period of time, Yutian was very curious about the secret in the box, but he couldn't get an answer. After that, he joined the special training team and grew up, becoming an armed police soldier stationed at the border. That box, it's actually nothing much. It's just a vow between me and Yao Yao sis. Yushu didn't feel embarrassed anymore. After all these years, Yushu's personality had formed. She was always this kind of dumb person. Great intelligence looks dumb, and she would never pay for it. Vow. What vow? Yutian asked. Jiang Wen, on the other hand, had his eyes wide open, waiting for Yushu's answer. He wasn't interested in other people's business, but Yushu said that it involved Meng Yao's vow. He was very interested in anything related to Meng Yao. Our vow was that Yao Yao sis and I will marry the same man. Yao Yao sis will be the big wife, and I will be the small wife, Yushu said proudly. Shu, don't talk nonsense. Meng Yao blushed. What kind of vow was this? She didn't know why she agreed to it in the first place. She thought that she didn't want to be separated from Shu in the future, and that they could be together forever. But now that she grew up, she realized how childish she was back then. Was such a thing really possible? Could Shu really marry the same man as her? Even if she agreed, wouldn't it scare her future boyfriend? Meng Yao didn't know what to ask, but an image appeared in her mind. Linny? Why did she think of him? It'd be quite a good match if Shu married him. He was probably the only one who could handle Yushu's antics. They'd been living under the same roof for so long. and he didn't seem to be sick of Yushu at all. Yu Tian didn't expect his sister to make such a vow at such a young age. Could it be that what she said about the big wife and small wife was true? Was she really going to marry the same man as Meng Yao? Isn't this a little too inconceivable? This wasn't in line with House Chen's interests. How could the daughter of House Chen be someone's small wife? How could Grandpa agree? Of course, if that man was very powerful and was the target of competition from the noble houses, then it was possible. But this kind of person was too rare. Even if there was one, would he be able to stand his sister? If he didn't enjoy the tenderness of a small wife, he would be tricked to death by the small wife. Chapter 634. Chapter 634. Kiss Shield Bro Yutian was confused about Lin Yi's sudden appearance as Meng Yao and Yushu's follower. He didn't know why. Was it someone else's arrangement? Someone purposely arranged for them to be together? Was it for Meng Yao or Yushu? From a personal point of view, Yu Tian naturally hoped that his instructor and his sister could be together. That way, not only could he get closer to Lin Yi, but it would also benefit House Qin. Lin Yi was already at the peak of the middle phase of the golden class, and he was about to break through to the late phase of the golden class. Now, he was probably at the late phase of the golden class. At least, Yu Tian couldn't see through Lin Yi's true strength. Lin Yi's strength was like a phoenix's feather among the young generation of the noble houses. It wasn't impossible for his sister to marry him. Jiang Wen, on the other hand, had a bigger headache. He didn't expect Yushu and Meng Yao to agree to marry the same man when they were young. Wasn't this making things difficult for him? It seemed like he had to think of a way to expose Yushu and Meng Yao. This was something he had to do. Otherwise, pursuing Meng Yao would become an impossible mission. Let Yushu be a small wife? Jiang Wen didn't dare to. First, he couldn't take it. He only had one heart. Even if he was the boss of an organ trafficking organization, if his heart exploded, he wouldn't be able to find a replacement. Even if he could find one, it would be long dead. Second, with Yushu's background and identity, he wouldn't be able to take it. House Qin aside, even Yu Tian wouldn't agree. Yushu's man in the future would either be a noble house's heir or a master. All right, it's my turn. Yushu didn't care what the others were thinking. She quickly said to Meng Yao, "Yao Yao, sis, it's finally my turn to ask you. I'm going to ask, who was your first kiss?" La 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 ha ha ha. Yushu couldn't help but laugh, mischievously, after asking the question. First kiss? Meng Yao frowned. She suddenly thought of Lin Yi. One look at Yushu's sneaky smile, and Meng Yao knew that Yushu was up to no good. Meng Yao didn't want to answer, but she didn't want to drink either. She had drunk quite a lot earlier, and her head was still a little dizzy. "I refuse to answer. I choose dare." Okay, Yao Yao, you're the second one to choose dare. I'm going to start. Yushu said excitedly, "Yao Yao, I order you to kiss Shield Bro." Exclamation point. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. "I'm not going." "Go ahead, you've already given your first kiss to Shield Bro anyway. Another one won't be a big deal." Yushu said matter-of-factly. "Shoo." Meng Yao was pissed as she glared at Yushu. "Are you done? You've gone too far." "Oh, I don't think it's anything. Shield Bro kissed me too. I think it's normal." Yushu said. Jiang Wen, who was sitting on the opposite side, frowned. Meng Yao's first kiss was Lin Yi? Was it real? But looking at Meng Yao's expression, she seemed to have admitted it. She didn't refute and only asked Shu if she was done. She even said that Shu was going too far. Thinking back to Yushu's question, asking who Meng Yao's first kiss was, Meng Yao had rejected the question instead of saying no. This meant that Meng Yao must have had her first kiss before, and she just didn't want to answer the question. Otherwise, she would have just said no. How straightforward would that be? Could it be that Meng Yao and Lin Yi really had something going on? Jiang Wen's face turned ugly. Then he heard Yushu say that her first kiss was with Lin Yi as well. Could it be that the three of them lived under the same roof? Did something really happen? Jiang Wen wanted to flip the table. He had reached a certain level of anger at this point. This Lin Yi stole what he was supposed to do and played him like a monkey. He said that he was giving him information, but the truth was that he was stealing from the young miss in the house. Jiang Wen had the urge to kill Lin Yi. Chun Yutian was surprised as well. Lin Yi kissed his sister? He even kissed Meng Yao? What was the relationship between the three of them? Was Lin Yi still a follower? Although Yutian was confused, he didn't think there was anything wrong with it. It was impossible for Pingzhan to not know that Lin Yi was by Meng Yao's side. Since Pingzhan didn't say anything, could there be something else going on? In fact, if his sister could marry Lin Yi, Chun Yutian wouldn't object. Instead, he would be happy. This was what he wanted. But now, Meng Yao was added into the mix. As long as his sister was willing, Chun Yutian wouldn't say anything. All right, Shu, stop joking. Lin Yi saw that Meng Yao was about to go berserk, and so he spoke up to help her out. This game is for you guys to play. I'm just a bystander, so Dare has nothing to do with me. Why don't you give Yao Yao a different type of adventure? All right, let's call it a day. Jiang Wen couldn't hold it in anymore. He wanted to kill Lin Yi right now, but he didn't show it because of Chun Yutian and Tai Zhao. Still, he wouldn't eat at the same table with Lin Yi anymore. With that, Jiang Wen stood up and left the room without looking back. Tai Zhao glanced at Chun Yutian, but didn't say anything. He followed Jiang Wen out. Chun Yutian sneered. The friendship between the four young masters of Songshan would be gone after today's dinner. What was left was Jiang Wen and Tai Zhou's personal friendship. Chun Yutian still had things to do at night. He wanted to go back to the villa with Yushu and ask about Lin Yi, but he was afraid that Lin Yi would be unhappy. He thought about it and decided to let nature take its course. Since Lin Yi had become his sister's and Yao Yao's follower, there was no rush. At the entrance of the hotel, Chun Yutian parted ways with Yushu and Meng Yao. Before he left, he looked at Lin Yi with respect, but Lin Yi didn't even look at him. Instead, he acted like a follower, driving Meng Yao's Audi S5 over and waiting for them to get in. Chun Yutian had no choice. He waved at Yushu and left after telling her to take care of herself. He wanted to remind Lin Yi to be careful of Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen wasn't a generous person, and today's events made him lose face. He would definitely take revenge. But thinking about Lin Yi's strength and skills, his reminder was unnecessary. Chun Yutian shook his head and left. Chapter 635. Lingshan caught Shu. Did you drink too much today? You went a little overboard with your words. Meng Yao said to Yushu. I don't like Jiang Wen, but your brother was there too. It's not good if we end up breaking up on bad terms. Oh, I didn't drink too much. Yushu shook her head. I was just thinking that Yao Yao was a little unhappy today, so I wanted to cheer you up a little. Meng Yao froze. She didn't think that Yushu's prank today was just to make her happy. She couldn't help but feel a surge of warmth in her heart. She hugged Yushu, feeling touched. Shu, thank you. Oh, it's nothing. Yushu shook her head. Yao Yao was unhappy, so of course I wanted to cheer you up. And Shu, you're so good to me. Meng Yao was really touched. Then you have to let me be your small wife from now on. Yushu said. Huh, sure, we'll be together forever. Good sisters forever. Meng Yao nodded. This was the first time she answered Yushu's retarded question. Lin Yi was driving in the front, as if he didn't hear the conversation between the sisters. In fact, Lin Yi did hear it, but he didn't know what to say. He didn't know how to persuade the sisters. When they got back to the villa, Meng Yao and Yushu held hands and went upstairs to talk, leaving Lin Yi alone at the bottom of the stairs. After a meeting, Lingshan decided to go undercover and infiltrate the criminal organization. wiping them out in one fell swoop. Otherwise, it wouldn't help the case at all if they only captured some small fries. This method of capturing people was called a UFO. A UFO, as the name suggested, was an unidentified flying object. Even if they captured the person, they wouldn't know what was behind them, just like how humans didn't know about UFOs. Ling Shan, on the other hand, decided to take the risk herself. She was the captain, after all, and this case was her responsibility. If she didn't go, someone else would, and she, as the captain, wouldn't feel at ease if someone else went. After all, Ling Shan was the strongest person in the team, and she was the only one who could lessen the danger to the greatest extent and make this plan a success. Many of the captains didn't want Ling Shan to take the risk, but since Ling Shan had made her decision, there was nothing they could do. They could only cover for her. And so, Ling Shan disguised herself as a village woman in Bing Village, looking like a village woman rushing through the night. Biaozi, there's a village woman walking at night. Should we take action? Behind a haystack, two burly men were talking in a low voice. I think it's okay. The higher-ups have given us a task. We must bring someone back today. After waiting for so long, a person finally came. I think it's her. The macho man named Biaozi nodded. Brother Ma, wait for her to come, and then we'll take action. Brother Ma nodded. If we don't fight, how can we afford to drink and play with women? Damn, it's her. Ling Shan had already sensed that something was wrong. The professional sensitivity of the captain and the sharp insight of a golden class master had already let her know that there were two enemies hiding not far away. But Ling Shan's purpose this time was to be captured by these people, and then sneak into their headquarters, find their nest, and wipe out their organization. Ling Shan wanted to pretend to be a person who was captured and sent to the headquarters of the criminal organization. Then, before the kidney was cut, she would go on a rampage and wipe out the entire nest. Do it! Brother Ma waved his hand and said to Biaozi. Suddenly, two men jumped out from behind the haystack, one on the left and one on the right, holding Ling Shan down. Ah, what are you doing? Help! Ling Shan screamed. Brother Ma and Biaozi looked at each other and smiled. In this wilderness, even if they used a megaphone, no one would be able to hear them. Although they were operating in Bing Village, they didn't dare to capture people in a crowded place. If the villagers were alarmed, how could the two of them fight against a large group of people? So, for the sake of safety, they chose a less populated path in the field. Although it was quiet here, there was a disadvantage. There were almost no people at night, unless there were people rushing at night. The two of them just wanted to try their luck here in the first half of the night to see if they could wait for people to pass by. If it didn't work, they would wait for the second half of the night to break into the houses to capture people. Although it was more dangerous, at least it would be the second half of the night, and it wouldn't alarm most people. But they didn't expect that after waiting for a few hours, a village woman walking alone at night came. This was a rare opportunity. They didn't care whether Ling Shan would call for help or not. They directly punched Ling Shan's neck and knocked her out. In fact, Ling Shan didn't faint. She was just pretending to faint. If a golden class master could be knocked out so easily, then the golden class master would be too weak. Ling Shan was dragged into a van by the two men, and the van started up quickly, heading towards the city. After about half an hour, Ling Shan was sent to another abandoned factory in the outskirts of the city. They still didn't enter the city, but this place was completely different from the last one. Ling Shan knew that this was just a temporary transfer station. It wasn't the headquarters of the criminal organization. She was just temporarily kept here. The two men were only in charge of capturing people. There should be another group of people in charge of sending her to the surgery place. That should be their headquarters. In the abandoned factory, Ling Shan was thrown into a basement, and the two men happily went to collect the money. The one in charge of watching over her was a man with a gloomy face. He had an aquiline nose and deep eye sockets. He looked like a heavy smoker. The man with the aquiline nose looked at Ling Shan carefully. He was stunned. He didn't think that a village woman could be so beautiful. It was completely unexpected. Plus, she didn't look old. She shouldn't be married yet. The man with the aquiline nose smacked his lips. He was a little envious, but he still dialed a number after some hesitation. "Tattooed bro, we caught a fat sheep." The man with the aquiline nose said softly, afraid that he would wake Ling Shan up. But he didn't know that Ling Shan was awake the whole time. Chapter 636. You brought her here? Of course, tattooed bro. I've already sent them to look for a new target. The man with the aquiline nose said carefully. In fact, he knew very well that the two guys went to drink after taking the money. Finding one target in one night was already good enough. How could they go back to look for a second one? So he quickly said, "Right, tattooed bro, the fat sheep is a girl, very pretty. Maybe she's even a virgin. You can enjoy her first." "Oh, really? I got it." The tattooed guy didn't show anything on his face, only saying faintly. The man with the aquiline nose didn't know that the tattooed guy had a boss above him. He thought that the tattooed guy was the boss, so he offered Ling Shan to him. After hanging up, the tattooed guy quickly walked to Jiang Wen's side. "When bro, the people down there caught a girl. I heard she's not bad. Maybe she's still a virgin. Do you think you should—" "Oh!" Jiang Wen raised his eyebrows. He was extremely pissed off right now, and other than venting his anger, he couldn't find a way to vent it out. When he heard that the people down there had caught a girl, he was immediately interested. "Let me see her?" Although the people down there weren't that high up in the hierarchy, they still received quite a lot of money after doing their jobs. They were allowed to go to high-class nightclubs, and it wasn't like they hadn't seen pretty girls before. If they were called pretty girls, and they even dared to call Jiang Wen, then they must be pretty girls. Jiang Wen was just worried that he didn't have a place to vent his anger, and now someone had delivered themselves to his doorstep. Jiang Wen was very happy. The tattooed guy sent a car to the aquiline nose guy's transfer station, and very quickly Ling Shan was brought to the headquarters and locked up in their own prison. She was indeed very pretty. This was the tattooed guy's first impression of Ling Shan. Not only was her face beautiful, but her body was also very hot, with curves in all the right places and curves in all the right places. She must be one of the best. According to the tattooed guy's many years of experience, this girl in front of him should be a virgin. This was in line with Wen Bro's standards for women. But other than that, the tattooed man felt that Ling Shan looked very familiar, as if he had seen her somewhere before, but he couldn't remember where. After locking Ling Shan up, the tattooed guy returned to Jiang Wen's side and said in a low voice, "Wen Bro, I've sent her here. She's indeed a top-quality product, but she looks a little familiar. Where have I seen her before?" He was a cautious man, and he wouldn't let go of any details. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been in charge of this place for so long. When Jiang Wen's brother was here, the tattooed man was the person in charge of this place. "Where have I seen it before?" "What do you mean?" Jiang Wen frowned. "Someone you know." "I don't think I know him." "I have an impression of him, but I don't know where I have seen him before. Even if I know him, he shouldn't be an acquaintance." The tattooed man shook his head. "I'm not a local. It's impossible for me to have relatives in Tong Village." "I see." Jiang Wen hesitated. "Turn on the surveillance. I'll take a look myself." "Yes. Wen Bro." The tattooed guy nodded and turned on the surveillance camera in the dungeon. There was a surveillance camera in Jiang Wen's room, so he could see everything that was happening in the dungeon clearly. Ling Shan didn't wake up after reaching the dungeon. She was still pretending to be unconscious. In fact, she had already sneaked a peek. There were a few surveillance cameras in the dungeon. Whatever she was doing here could be seen by the people outside. So, in order to confuse the enemy, Ling Shan still pretended to be unconscious. This should be the headquarters of the kidney trafficking organization, right? She wondered if Lu Wanli and the others outside received the signal. Not good. The tracking device on Captain Song has lost its signal. Lu Wanli stared at the surveillance screen nervously and exclaimed. Before Ling Shan left, she had brought a signal transmitter with her. In other words, wherever Ling Shan was, the tracking device would be able to see it. This would make it easier for them to destroy the enemy's lair. However, after Ling Shan was brought to the first transfer station, the signal was lost. Could it be that something happened in the middle of this? Lu Wanli's face was filled with nervousness, and so were the others around him. They all stared at the screen nervously. The tattooed man wasn't an idiot. He had been doing this for so long and nothing had happened. Of course, he had his own methods. He was afraid that the police would send someone to sneak in, so he brought a signal transmitter with him. So, he had already blocked the signal on the car that was used to pick up Ling Shan. It was the same for the entire headquarters, other than the special wired network phone. There was no signal on the phone. Of course, Jiang Wen's own phone had been transferred through the call forwarding system, so he could still receive the signal. The surveillance screen was turned on, and the focus of the camera was getting closer and closer. Jiang Wen finally saw Ling Shan's face clearly. He couldn't help but curse. Fuck! What's wrong, Wen bro? The tattooed man was stunned by Jiang Wen's reaction. He didn't know why Jiang Wen had such a big reaction. Wen bro, do you know her? Why not? Ling Shan, the captain of Songshan's criminal investigation team. Jiang Wen's eyes widened. Qin Yutian's target. Why did you bring her here? It can't be. You brought the captain of the criminal investigation team here? The tattooed man was dumbfounded. He didn't know why this person looked so familiar. So she was the captain of the criminal investigation team. This was a character that often appeared on TV. He should have seen her before, but he didn't pay much attention to her since she took over Huaijun's position not long ago. However, this matter was getting out of hand. It wasn't going to end well. He didn't know how Bro would treat him. He wouldn't kill him, would he? The tattooed man was shocked at the thought. He had experienced Jiang Wen's cruelty before. Although Jiang Wen looked gentle, the tattooed man knew that he was a ruthless person. Jiang Wen's brother used to buy a kidney, and Jiang Wen used to rob him. To deal with his love rival, he would cut off one of his kidneys. How could a normal person do something like this? The tattooed man was shocked. Jiang Wen wouldn't kill him to vent his anger, would he? Jiang Wen was in a bad mood today. He wanted to please him by getting a pretty girl for him to play with, but he didn't expect that he would end up in trouble. He brought the captain of the criminal investigation team here. Wasn't he looking for death? Chapter 637. Give them a warning. Jiang Wen waved his hand, a faint smile on his face. So what if they want to? Wen bro, are you saying that you want to have a taste of her? The tattooed guy thought that Wen bro was quite brave, daring to touch a police beauty. Of course not. Jiang Wen said, she knows me. I don't want to die yet. Plus, she's Qin Yutian's woman. Why would I touch her? Then what about you, Wen bro? The tattooed guy was confused. Haven't the police been keeping an eye on us? That's good. Since they're keeping an eye on us, we'll teach them a lesson and let them know that it's better to turn a blind eye to some things. Jiang Wen smiled coldly. What do you think the police will do if the captain of the criminal investigation department loses a kidney? That would be so embarrassing. The tattooed guy laughed. That's right, I want to teach the police a lesson, a warning at the same time. Let them know that they can't meddle in everything, that it's better for them to live in peace. Otherwise, the consequences will be dire. Jiang Wen said, put some drugs in the prison and knock her out. Oh! The tattooed guy was surprised. Knock her out. From what I know, this Ling Shan is a golden class master. None of us are her match yet. Jiang Wen said, This girl must be trying to sneak into the headquarters. That's why she's been hiding her strength. Let's fulfill her wish and let her hide until she loses a kidney. Okay, I understand. The tattooed guy nodded quickly. Thinking that Jiang Wen was indeed cruel, he was willing to cut off a kidney for such a beautiful girl. Plus, this girl's identity wasn't simple at all. Wait, tell the people in the outskirts to evacuate. Tomorrow we'll use the third stronghold. We'll give up on this one. Jiang Wen called out to the tattooed guy who was about to leave. Ling Shan should have a signal transmitter on her. That stronghold should be exposed already. Yes. The tattooed guy replied and left. Jiang Wen shook his head slightly as he watched the tattooed man leave. Yu Tian bro, I'm really sorry. It's your fault for choosing such a troublesome girl. If she had obediently followed you back to the Qin family, how could she have lost a kidney? But Ling Shan was just a small interlude. He didn't care at all. Cutting out Ling Shan's kidney would only bring two results. One was for the police to give up, and the other was for them to be furious. However, so what if he flew into a rage out of humiliation? They still couldn't find where their headquarters was, and Ling Shan had reached the point where she couldn't take it anymore. That was why she decided to pretend to be captured and sneak into the headquarters. Jiang Wen didn't mind at all. He was a ruthless man, and he didn't care about things like that. What troubled Jiang Wen now was Lin Yi's problem. Jiang Wen was very annoyed. Lin Yi, this bastard. How dare he get involved with Meng Yao and Yushu? Jiang Wen didn't think that the relationship between Lin Yi and Meng Yao could be that pure. They even kissed. What else couldn't they do? Meng Yao was his wife, and he would never allow Meng Yao and Lin Yi to be together. Jiang Wen's feelings for Meng Yao came from the bottom of his heart, and it was almost perverted. This was his dream since he was young, and that was to marry Meng Yao. Jiang Wen had played with many women these years, and there were beautiful ones, both foreign and domestic, but he still couldn't forget about Meng Yao. This was a stubbornness in his character. Even if Meng Yao and Lin Yi had already done something, he would still bring Meng Yao home. Even if he had to put her there every day, he would make her his. Of course, if Meng Yao was still a virgin, Jiang Wen would let bygones be bygones. Lin Yi, how do you want to die? A cold smile appeared on Jiang Wen's lips. This was the smile he had every time he was about to do something bad. Since you don't know what's good for you, then don't blame me for what I'm about to do. Your kidney is mine now. When Ling Shan's signal disappeared, Lu Wangli and the others felt that something was wrong. Without hesitation, they sent people to where Ling Shan's signal disappeared. It was a deserted area, and there was an abandoned factory not far from the empty road. But when Lu Wangli and the others surrounded the factory, they found nothing. There was no one in the factory, but the people inside had left in a hurry, and it wouldn't have been long either. The light bulb was still warm, which meant that it had been lit the whole time. There were also some instant noodle bags and other food waste on the ground, as well as some ragged ropes. Evidently, the enemy had their guard up, but it was precisely because of this that Lu Wangli was even more worried. This meant that the enemy must have seen through Ling Shan's identity and fled in a panic, and the signal transmitter on Ling Shan must have been destroyed as well. With that thought, Lu Wangli started to panic. He hesitated for a while before calling the director, Yang Huaijuan. Director Yang, I'm Lu Wangli from the Criminal Investigation Team. Are you asleep? It was already midnight, and Lu Wangli was afraid that Huaijuan was already asleep. I just slept. What's up? Ever since Huaijuan took the medicine that Lin Yi had given him, his internal injuries had healed. He didn't feel any pain anymore, and he could sleep peacefully without the need for painkillers. He didn't feel any discomfort when he was woken up by the phone. Director Yang, Captain Song seems to be in trouble. Lu Wangli said carefully. Trouble? What happened? Tell me the details. Huaijuan's sleepiness was all gone when he heard that Ling Shan was in trouble. He sat up and asked. It's like this. Captain Song found out the location of the criminal organization, so... Lu Wanli told Huaijuan about Ling Shan's undercover work. Who told her to go? Why didn't she ask for permission first? Huaijuan was furious after hearing Lu Wanli's words. It was Captain Song's decision. I thought she'd asked for permission already. Lu Wanli sweated. He was the captain, and it was Ling Shan who reported this to Huaijuan. He couldn't just skip his rank and report to Huaijuan, could he? Chapter 638. Huaijuan washed his face and rushed to the police station. Huaijuan hung up, washed his face, and rushed to the police station. But Huaijuan wouldn't be of much use even if he went. Even if he knew that Ling Shan had lost contact with them at the transit station, it wouldn't change anything. The people at the transit station had already left, and there wouldn't be any valuable clues left. The criminals were cunning, and they didn't leave any openings. Ling Shan was lost just like that. Huaijuan couldn't do anything even if he was worried. All they could do now was wait for the criminals to talk to the police. They obviously knew about Ling Shan's identity already, and yet they still wanted to capture her. Their goal was obvious. They either wanted to show off to the police, or they wanted to use her as a hostage to achieve their goal. But no matter what, he had to wait for the criminals to contact the police first. This song, he's really troublesome. Huaijuan rubbed his sleepy eyes as he sat in his office. He hadn't slept for the whole night, discussing the direction of the case. He was tired, but it was much better than before. Lin Yi's medicine was still effective. In the past, staying up all night would cause him to get sick, and he had to use medicine to suppress it. But now, other than fatigue, he didn't feel any discomfort. Of course, fatigue was a normal reaction. Even a healthy person would feel uncomfortable after a night of no rest. Lin Yi? Huaijuan suddenly thought of Lin Yi. Did Lin Yi have a way? If there was a way to find Ling Shan, then perhaps only Lin Yi could do it? She just didn't know if he would help. Huaijuan smiled bitterly. It seemed like he still had to trouble Lin Yi. After some hesitation, Huaijuan dialed Lin Yi's number. Huaijuan always felt awkward calling Lin Yi that. He still wanted to call Lin Yi Eagle or Captain. He wasn't used to the name Yi. Jun bro, what's up? Lin Yi drove to the hospital to pick up Tang Yin. He received a call from Huaijuan just as he was about to drive off. Song was probably captured by the kidney trafficking organization. Huaijuan didn't bother with pleasantries as he told Huaijuan the reason for the call. Oh, it's normal for a girl like her to be captured. Lin Yi wasn't surprised at all. In fact, he thought that it was normal. He wouldn't have called her yesterday if he knew she was that reckless. She's a little reckless, but young people are all impulsive. Huaijuan smiled bitterly. It's like this. Song received a tip yesterday and found out where the criminals were and, oh, I know that. I was the one who told her about Bin Village. Lin Yi interrupted Huaijuan's words. Did she go there herself and was caught trying to infiltrate the enemy lines and couldn't get out after that? Huaijuan was surprised. He didn't know that. Huaijuan was a bit surprised. He didn't think that Lin Yi was the one who'd told Ling Shan about this. It seemed like they were still in contact and pretty close to. Lin Yi wouldn't abandon Ling Shan then, would he? Very simple logic. Lin Yi smiled. With Ling Shan's personality, this wasn't surprising at all. What do you need from me? Can you find her or save her? Huaijuan asked directly. No need for hypocritical pleasantries between Lin Yi and Huaijuan. I'll try. Lin Yi was getting a headache. This Ling Shan really knew how to cause trouble. He was going to be busy. Lin Yi didn't want to get involved in this at first. But since Huaijuan had spoken up, Lin Yi had no reason to refuse. Thank you, Eagle. Huaijuan sighed in relief. Lin Yi wasn't one to make promises easily, but once he did, he'd do his best to keep it. Oh, I'll hang up first. I'll think about what to do. Lin Yi didn't say anything and hung up the phone. If he wanted to find Ling Shan, he'd have to help Jiang Wen. It seemed like he really did have to go look for Jiang Wen. Whether or not he cut someone else's kidney had nothing to do with Lin Yi. Even if Lin Yi knew about it, he wouldn't do it. But now that it was related to Ling Shan, and Lin Yi didn't like this Jiang Wen, he could see that the miss was annoyed with him, so he'd have to take care of him. "What's wrong? Are you okay?" Tang Yin heard the gist of it, but she couldn't hear it clearly, so she asked worriedly. "It's nothing. A friend went missing and asked me to help look for her." Lin Yi said, "Let's ignore her for now. Let me take a look at your head. It's almost healed." Tang Yin was a little shy, avoiding Lin Yi's gaze. She lowered her head, not daring to look at him. "Oh, not bad. There aren't any scars left. Otherwise, it wouldn't look good in the future." Lin Yi was satisfied with his medicine. "If there's a scar, will you still want me?" Tang Yin really wanted to know the answer. "Your worry is unnecessary. It can be removed even if you keep it," Lin Yi said. "Oh." Tang Yin was a little disappointed. She didn't hear the answer she wanted. She didn't know why Lin Yi liked her. Was it because of her looks or something else? It was a very uneasy feeling. But Lin Yi didn't understand girls and didn't notice Tang Yin's disappointment. "Right? How's the relocation of the slums going?" Lin Yi asked. "It's temporarily stopped. I heard from Lu Xinwen that there's no news. A lot of people are waiting and watching." Tang Yin couldn't help but find it funny. They all think that the Qibing skyscraper collapsed because of quality problems. So they won't even move now. Let's not care about them for now. Lin Yi wasn't too interested in whether Zhao Qibing would demolish the buildings or not. However, he could look for him and ask for some compensation. "Why don't you go to school with your employer?" Tang Yin was still very vigilant towards Meng Yao and Yu Shu. "There are people who pick them up." Lin Yi shrugged. "Oh, when do you want to stay?" Tang Yin asked. "I'm not sure. It depends on my old man." Lin Yi shook his head. "You seem to be very hostile towards them." "I'm not." Tang Yin didn't admit it. When they arrived at school, Lin Yi and Tang Yin separated in front of the classroom. Everyone in the school knew about their relationship. Tang Yin didn't need to avoid them. Plus, with Meng Yao and Yushu's sudden addition, Tang Yin was on high alert. Chapter 639. Chapter 639. Tang Yin's sense of danger if Meng Yao didn't like Lin Yi. Why would she ruin her own reputation? She was a girl from a respectable family. How could she not care? There was only one possibility. She really did like Lin Yi. That's why she said those things. Especially when Meng Yao whispered something in Tang Yin's ear before she left. It made Tang Yin even more vigilant. She said that she wanted to pursue Lin Yi. Tang Yin didn't know how she should fight with Meng Yao, and she didn't know if she should fight or not. It all depended on Lin Yi's attitude. If Lin Yi didn't like Meng Yao, then Tang Yin wouldn't be worried, but Lin Yi's attitude was a bit ambiguous. He probably had feelings for Meng Yao and Yushu. This was the source of danger for Tang Yin. They lived under the same roof, and it was inevitable that feelings would grow. Now, she could only take it one step at a time. Lin Yi came to the classroom and looked at his empty desk. He suddenly thought of Xiao Xiao. He hadn't seen her in a while. It had been so many days since he came back from Yanjing, and Xiao Xiao still hadn't come back. Was she still in Yanjing? Lin Yi wanted to send a text to greet her. After all, their relationship had improved a bit, and it wasn't as tense as before. But thinking about Xiao Xiao's personality, he put down his phone. She was the type of person who'd go with the flow, who knew what she would do if he took the initiative to contact her. Lin Yi was thinking about Xiao Xiao when Xiao Xiao's text came. "Lin Yi, why haven't you contacted me in so long? Do you not have me in your heart?" Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he looked at the message. He didn't know how to reply. "Busy, when are you coming back?" Xiao Xiao was sitting on the hospital bed, bored out of her mind. Tianlong had returned and was by her side. Xiao Xiao, you're texting a friend. Tianlong was surprised to see his daughter's message, because Feng Tianlong knew that his daughter didn't have many friends, almost none of whom she could contact through text messages. That was because other than her friends who raced with her, she had no real friends. Oh, it's Lin Yi. You've met him before. Xiao Xiao didn't hide it. Lin Yi. Tianlong's eyes lit up. Are you close with him? It's all right. Xiao Xiao was a little annoyed at how Lin Yi was changing the topic. Busy? Busy with what? Was he busy dating Tang Yin or being Meng Yao and Yushu's follower? He's really not your boyfriend. Tianlong suddenly asked. Ah. Xiao Xiao's heart skipped a beat as her face heated up. Had her father noticed something? Her father had asked a similar question before, but Xiao Xiao had denied it. Why was he bringing it up again today? But Xiao Xiao remembered her body's condition and decided to go all out. Not yet for now. Not yet. Tianlong's heart skipped a beat. Trying to date? I'm going after him. Xiao Xiao never had a good relationship with her father, and she never had the image of a good girl. She'd never had a boyfriend before, but when it came to this topic, she was a little shy at first, but after a while, she was more open about it. I wish you success. Tianlong wanted his daughter to find a boyfriend. Even if they didn't get married, they should at least have a child first. He didn't want to lose his daughter and die alone. Having a grandson or granddaughter would be something to rely on. And Lin Yi was someone he liked, so he approved of Xiao Xiao going out with him. It's not success yet. It's not even set in stone yet. Maybe I'll die before I even catch up. Xiao Xiao wasn't worried about life and death anymore. We've wasted so many days of our time again. We could have used that time to come to the hospital every day. The final result isn't out yet, is it? Maybe there's a way. Feng Tianlong didn't have much confidence when he said this. In fact, he already predicted that the result this time would be the same as every other time. But he didn't want to give up until there was a final conclusion. So boring. Xiao Xiao fell back on the bed and continued texting Lin Yi. Lin Yi replied a couple of messages to Xiao Xiao, and it was time for class. He closed his phone and put it in his desk. Xiao Xiao's messages, on the other hand, were like a stone thrown into the ocean. Xiao Xiao was very pissed off. Lin Yi, you're too lazy to even text me, huh? Yao Yao sis, according to my observation, Shield Bro came with Tang Yin today. Yushu used her spy skills again. Oh, Meng Yao replied faintly. What does that have to do with us? Don't mind him. But aren't you going after Shield Bro? You've already challenged Tang Yin. If we don't do anything, Tang Yin might think we're scared and give up. Yushu provoked. Let her think what she wants. Meng Yao wouldn't fall for it. She knew that only Pinliang and Jiang Wen would fall for Yushu's tricks. Oh, Yushu was a little dejected. Yao Yao wouldn't budge no matter what she said, so she could only give up. Meng Yao had been paying attention in class, but Yushu's words messed up her mind. She rejected Yushu's suggestion, but her heart couldn't calm down at all. Meng Yao didn't even realize it until the end of class, still staring at the textbook in front of her. Yao Yao. Yushu waved her hand in front of Meng Yao. What? Meng Yao said, startled. She snapped back to reality and glared at Yushu. Are you trying to scare me to death? Yao Yao, are you in love? Yushu looked at Meng Yao curiously. What love? What are you talking about? Meng Yao's heart tightened as she looked at Yushu fiercely. The TV says that when women are in a daze, it means that they're in love. Just like you, Yao Yao, Yushu said. You believe whatever the TV says? Why don't you believe in TV shopping? Meng Yao naturally wouldn't admit that she was in love. She didn't think she'd die from it. At most, she'd be angry at Lin Yi for flirting with girls while working. It would be forgivable if it was Shu, but it was Tang Yin. Meng Yao was pissed just thinking about it. Oh, then what were you doing just now, Yao Yao? Yushu asked with a nod. Chapter 640. Pinliang's mission. Pinliang had a heavy responsibility today, and that was to poison Yushu. Although it was against the law, Pinliang didn't feel any guilt at all. To him, the more damaging something was, the better it was. He was more than happy to cause some trouble in the school. Now that his uncle was no longer a shareholder of the school, it would be best if something bad happened to the school. His love for Meng Yao had turned into hatred, and it was the same for Lin Yi. With Jiang Wen as his love rival, Pinliang didn't dare to have any thoughts about Meng Yao anymore. However, not pursuing Meng Yao didn't mean that he didn't hate Meng Yao. This time he was going to make Pingzhan pay for this, and let Meng Yao experience the feeling of turning from a high and mighty princess to a poor Cinderella. Only after experiencing a huge change could a person be enlightened. At this moment, Pinliang finally understood that Meng Yao was just messing with him. She never liked him. Even if Meng Yao didn't do it herself, she allowed Yushu to do it. These two girls, as well as Lin Yi, he would never let them go. And Jiang Wen, the day Zhang Naipeo leaves the mountain will be the day of your death. The wounds on Pinliang's body had recovered. Through Yao Wang, Fabai had asked for some Dr. Kang's medicine. Other than losing a kidney, Pinliang was fine. However, when he returned to school, Zhong Pinliang noticed that his classmates were looking at him weirdly. He didn't know if it was because he was too sensitive or because everyone was laughing at him for losing a kidney. Either way, Zhong Pinliang was extremely unhappy. This humiliation would be washed away sooner or later. The Pinliang now was different from before. After this incident, he had matured and become more stable. He understood that if he wanted to take revenge, he needed absolute strength. Without absolute strength, he couldn't fight Lin Yi and the others head-on. Of course, this wasn't to let Lin Yi go, but to play dirty. He didn't believe that Lin Yi and Pingzhan would have a mental breakdown if he didn't play along. Before the last class of the morning, Pinliang and Xiaofu skipped class together. Pinliang didn't hide this from Xiaofu. As his other confidant, Xiaofu had done a lot of bad things with him, so there was no way he'd betray him. Brother Liang, when the time comes, we'll split up and scatter these things in the cafeteria, right? Gao Xiaofu asked as he looked at the small bottles in his hand. Yeah, I'll take 4, and you take 3. We'll split up, so we won't attract attention. Pinliang nodded. But does this thing really work? Brother Liang? Gao Xiaofu didn't believe that the originally harmless vials in his hands had turned into a highly toxic poison after being mixed together. Of course, you don't know this, but this poison was created by a legendary hermit master. It's called Deadly 7 Herbs Poison, and it's made from 7 different herbs. It's colorless and odorless, and one herb alone won't have any poison. Only when all 7 of them are eaten together will it turn into a deadly poison. It's extremely secretive, and it's a must-have for murder, Pinliang said proudly. Holy sh*T, that's so awesome. If the students who ate all 7 dishes at the same time were to die, wouldn't they? Gao Xiaofu exclaimed. That's true. Even if the forensic doctor comes, they won't be able to find anything. If they take out a single dish and test it, there's no poison in it. Even if they send the students to the hospital, there's no antidote. They can only wait for death in the hospital. Pinliang nodded. But we wouldn't be able to harm Pingzhan if the forensics team couldn't find anything. Even the hospital would be able to confirm that the food wasn't poisoned. Wouldn't the school have nothing to do with the poisoning? Xiaofu asked, feeling that something wasn't quite right with the situation. Idiot, don't you know what's the scariest thing in the world? Pinliang said with disdain. The unknown. Only the unknown is the scariest thing. Why are people afraid of ghosts? Because ghosts are unknown. No one has seen what they look like, so everyone is afraid of them. Similarly, even if the hospital found out that the students ate the poisoned food, how much impact would it have on Pingzhan? He's a victim, poisoned as well. If he had to pay some money, people might even say that he's a good guy and a victim. But what if there's no poison in the food? That's right. Xiaofu understood. There's no poison in the food but the students? That's even scarier. So, before this riddle is solved, which parent would dare to send their child to school? What if they get poisoned again? All the parents would band together and make a fuss, and Pengjan would be in a lot of trouble. Pinliang said. Plus, the hospital didn't even find out the cause of the poisoning, so Pengjan would have to take responsibility. The students were poisoned in school, so who else would the parents turn to if not Pengjan? He'd have to pay for it. Haha, you're right. It seems like I'm not as thorough as you, Liang bro. Xiaofu sighed. All right, let's go and poison the food. The cafeteria should be ready by now. Pinliang said proudly after hearing Xiaofu's words. All right, let's go poison the food. Before, Gubong resigned. Pinliang was a regular at the cafeteria. He'd come early to eat. He often skipped classes, so he didn't have to wait until the last period to eat. Plus, he was the nephew of the school director, so the cafeteria manager didn't want to piss him off. Pinliang was spending money anyway, so he just had to open the cafeteria a little earlier. He wouldn't lose anything. As usual, Pinliang brought Xiaofu to the entrance of the cafeteria. The cafeteria wasn't open yet. Pinliang knocked on the door of the cafeteria, and a worker came running out. He quickly opened the door and let Pinliang in. Gubong had left, but that was something only the higher-ups knew about. Even the cafeteria manager might not have gotten the news right away, let alone the cafeteria workers. They thought that Pinliang had the backing of the school board, and they didn't want to piss him off. Chapter 641. Canteen poisoning Pinliang calmed down when he saw that these people didn't seem to know about his uncle's resignation. He waved his hand and said, I went out to eat a while ago. You go back to your work. I'll go to the kitchen and see what they have today. All right, Master Zhong. The waiter nodded and went back to his work, ignoring Pinliang. It wasn't the first time Pinliang went to the kitchen anyways. The canteen was still preparing to open for business, so the dishes weren't brought out yet. They were all placed in the kitchen. Even if Pinliang wanted to eat, he would choose the dishes in the kitchen. Pinliang pushed open the kitchen door and walked in arrogantly. He let out a sigh of relief when he saw that the chef was the only one in the kitchen. Most of the time, the chef wasn't the only one in the kitchen. There were also choppers and bakers, but there was only one dish left today. The others had gone out to help clean up the tables and chairs in preparation for business. In order to save money, a high school cafeteria didn't have that many waiters. Most of them were part-timers. Pinliang turned to the chef, who was preparing the last dish, and asked, How's the food today? Is there anything good? The chef turned around and saw that it was Pinliang, but he didn't mind. He didn't like people who relied on their family's power, but he was still working in someone else's territory, even if he had a skill. So what if he relied on his hands to make a living? They could just fire him and hire a new chef. Therefore, the chef said, There's only one dish left, the stewed pork ribs and potatoes. It'll be ready soon. The rest is ready. Have a look yourself. Oh, then I'll try it first. See if it's good. Pinliang walked to the chef's side and looked at the stewed ribs and potatoes in the pot. Go get me a bowl and get me a piece of ribs. I want to try it. All right, wait. The chef had no choice but to leave the kitchen to get a bowl for Pinliang. The utensils weren't in the kitchen, but in the disinfection room. Pinliang waited for the chef to leave before quickly taking out a small bottle from his pocket. He opened the lid and poured the powdered poison into the pot of stewed pork ribs and potatoes. Xiaofu, on the other hand, wasn't idle either. He started pouring poison into the other dishes. The utensils were still being sterilized, and the chef had to close the cabinet before he could take them out. This was enough time for Pinliang and Xiaofu to work. The two poured all the poison into the pot, but the chef wasn't back yet. The school's daily menu consisted of 6 dishes and 1 soup, just right. 7 bottles of poison were just right. If there was one less dish, it would be difficult to operate. In fact, there were very few people who would order 6 dishes and 1 soup for a meal. Apart from those rich people, almost no one would do so. However, many students who were close to each other would gather at a table in groups of 3 to 5. Each person would buy 1 or 2 different dishes, and they would be able to gather 6 dishes and 1 soup. This kind of situation was very common among students, and it greatly increased the chances of being poisoned. When the chef came back with the utensils, Pin Liang was already standing next to the pot of stewed pork ribs and potatoes. He said impatiently when he saw the chef, "Why are you so slow? Hurry up, I can't wait. The utensils are in the disinfection cabinet. It's not convenient to take them out." The chef explained with a bitter smile. "Master Zhong, why don't you try it now?" "Yes, hurry up." Pin Liang nodded and pointed at the pot. "This rib, this one. It's fatty." The chef quickly scooped out the rib Pin Liang wanted and handed it over. Pin Liang impatiently put the rib into his mouth, yelling, "Delicious! Give us 2 portions of this stewed pork ribs and that egg soup. Give us 2 bowls too, 1 dish and 1 soup." The chef looked at Pin Liang uncertain. Why did Pin Liang order these 2 dishes this time? With Pin Liang's personality, he wouldn't order everything, but at least 3 or 4. "I don't really like the others. Hurry up, get me more meat," Pin Liang said impatiently. Okay. The chef realized that Pin Liang didn't like the others. No wonder. He quickly got them 2 portions of stewed pork ribs and 2 bowls of egg soup. Pin Liang and Xiaofu took 2 steamed buns each and sat down. "Liang bro, there's poison in the food. Can we still eat it? We can't die, right?" Xiaofu was scared and didn't dare move his chopsticks. "Fuck, I would have died if I could die. I just finished the ribs." Pin Liang curled his lips. "Oh, but there's still egg soup, right? We can't be poisoned if we eat both, right?" Xiaofu was still worried. "You idiot! I wouldn't eat it if I could be poisoned." Pin Liang glared at him. Yao Wang said that if you eat these 2 herbs together, not only will it not be poisonous, but it can also strengthen the kidney and boost the yang energy. "I see." Xiaofu nodded, but didn't dare move his chopsticks. "Hurry up and eat. We're here to poison the food, and if we don't eat something before we leave, people might suspect us," Pin Liang said as he started eating. Xiaofu had no choice but to bite the bullet. After a few bites, he felt that the food was delicious, and there wasn't anything wrong with his body, so he started eating after eating. Pin Liang left with Xiaofu. After all, they had just poisoned the food, and it wasn't good to stay in the cafeteria for too long. "Boss, what are you thinking about?" Xiaobo turned around to see Lin Yi frowning as the last class of the morning ended. It was lunch break, and Xiaobo asked curiously. It was the last semester of 12th graders and time was precious. Kong Xiaobo had to study hard, so he spent the whole morning reading books other than greeting Lin Yi. "Nothing, let's go eat." Lin Yi was thinking of an excuse to get close to Jiang Wen and ask about Lingshan. Lin Yi had promised Huaijuan that he would help, but he didn't have a starting point. If it was before, Lin Yi would have barged into Jiang Wen's house and asked for Lingshan, or he'd kill him if he didn't give it to him. But now wasn't the time. Even if he killed him, he had to find a way to do it discreetly. He couldn't get involved with Lingshan. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.